Hey, how's it going today? Happy Tuesday. Today, we're going to cover Ben Chu's interview that he does with Law and Crime and what his thoughts are regarding to the Ruby. I always get the names mixed up. Ruby Frankie and Jodi Hildebrand situation with their recent arrest regarding aggravated child abuse, 6 felony counts. And then I also do want to revisit Alexi Trevizo just very briefly. Her lawyer did an interview with Fox News recently in response to the petition that has been circulating on the internet. You know, it has a couple people, I don't know how many people actually signed the petition, but it's essentially a petition to ban her from going to college. Because you guys remember at the previous court hearing that they had, the judge did allow her to attend college, to attend classes in person. But we're going to talk about that because the lawyer does drop some new information. I don't know if he meant to or not. I feel like he should just kind of keep the information contained. But he mentions that Alexi Trevizo tried to save her newborn infant by putting the infant in a sink. I don't know. I'm going to read the rest of the article, but it popped up on my feed today. I think he did this interview like almost like 2 weeks ago. So it popped up on my feed today. I wanted to read it to you guys and see what you guys thought about it. Hi, Claudia. How are you doing today? Hi, Melissa. Hi, Madison. Hi, Daniela. Hello, hello. I also released a video I think it was yesterday, right? I was gonna say this past weekend, but I was researching this past weekend, but I released a video yesterday. All the updates that I had so far regarding the Ruby Frankie situation and Jodi Hildebrand as well. That's available up there. But I think I might do like a separate stream sometime in the future, maybe where we can listen to the entirety of the 911 call, maybe the police scanner stuff, and I don't know, some other stuff that we can just like take a look at as well. But I hope you guys are having a good day. Take care. Yeah, I usually do the slick back ponytail when my hair is greasy and I need to wash my hair. You did a great job. In depth enough without. Yeah, I was trying to make sure not to include all the speculation stuff. However, I did see the major speculation is what the Daily Mail reported in regards to a hearing that happened. It was like a child custody hearing that happened on Thursday, the day before the Friday hearing. But I did see that Law and Crime has been reporting on it, and they did bring it up in the interview with Ben Chu. So maybe they confirmed that it came out of Ruby Frankie's mouth, but I don't know. That just seems. I don't know. I just really feel bad. If it's true, if she really truly did say that about her kids, I'm just wondering why is it, one, how did Daily Mail get access to that information? Were they able to sit in the, it's like a court hearing for kids. Were they able to sit in there? Or was it like a family member that relayed the message to them? I don't know. I just feel really bad for her kids. If that kind of information is out there for the public, like even though it wasn't identified which kids were involved, but the information is out there. And I don't know. I just feel really bad for the kids. It's the whole situation is just really, really fucked up. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Cecilia. Hi, Fire Nitros. How's it going? I also want to watch an interview that Jodi Hildebrand's niece did with one of the local news in Utah. Is it Utah? I think Utah, right? Yeah. So I wanted to watch that because she does give kind of insight of like how things were when she grew up with Jodi, and she swears that like everything that's happening right now, she says that it's like it reeks of just Jodi Hildebrand. So she really thinks that it's probably Jodi Hildebrand that's pulling all the strings behind the scenes. And maybe Ruby Frankie is just getting pulled in. Because it seems like Ruby Frankie was engaging in some really weird, fucked up punishments for her kids. But the extreme of maybe like tying them down and bounding them with duct tape and then like starving them to the point of emaciation. Maybe that was something that was pushed even further by Hildebrand. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But other than that, how's your guys' weekend? Hello, hello. I hope you guys are doing well. I think we're just gonna have like a pretty chill, like a chill stream today. Chill stream, just some React stuff. Oh, and I did want to bring up, I think it'd be kind of interesting to react to some of Bruce Rivers' video that he posted. It was yesterday, I think. But there are some segments that I wanted to react to and his thoughts about how to raise your kids and whether or not you should be spanking your kids or not. And just his reaction to some of the videos of Ruby Frankie were just kind of bizarre. I'm not saying he was bizarre, but she was bizarre. And I just can't believe she's been around on social media for, I don't know, it's almost like they had their channel deactivated like what, a year ago, but they started their channel in 2015. That means they were on the platform for like 7 years. That's a long time. Just like Lori and Melanie with their podcast, so creepy. Oh, you're talking about the Valo. Yeah, a lot of people made references to the Valo, like saying how they're so glad that something like this would caught on early because, it could have been the Lori Vallow situation with Chad Daybell, where the kids were actually murdered and family members are trying to find out, they're trying to get help for the kids, but they couldn't get information from Lori. Sister tried calling Lori, her son tried calling Lori, and she was just being very facetious about the entire thing. And I don't know, it must be really frustrating to deal with fucking batshit crazy, insane people like that. But I think let's start with, I want to start with the interview that Ben Chu does. He does an interview with Law and Crime. I'm just going to fast forward to the part where they talk to Ben Chu because I think it's pretty interesting. I feel like the system, let those babies down, but it could have been way more horrific. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope they do an investigation into, I call it Child Protection Services, but I think in that area it's called something else. But yeah, I hope they do like an investigation to see if they followed best practices, to see if there was anything they could have done better, or that was like, I don't know, were they just like overworked? Because it seems like, the police was involved. They like interviewed with, they like try to assist the Child Protection Services by having the kids interviewed individually. They were there for like 2 hours. And then I think like, if I remember correctly, I think police stopped by like a couple times in that same month or something. But yeah, I don't know. I just wonder if there's anything that they can do better. But I remember when I was a teenager, and I think I tried calling I think we tried calling the cops on my mom's crazy boyfriend. And the police that showed up was just like severely like, I don't know. He was just like, didn't really... It looked like it was like, the last hour of his shift and he was ready to just like get the fuck out of there. But I think we called the cops on my mom's crazy boyfriend because he is batshit fucking crazy. And the cops' only solution to me as a teenager, underage, by the way, it wasn't like I was like, like 25 years old living in my mom's house. I think I was like 16 or 17. And we're just saying like, hey, like this guy's like fucking crazy. Like he's like physically abusive and stuff like that. And the cop's just like, I mean, you have a choice. You can just leave, your mom's house and just not live here. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. It was like the only help that I got. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't really have any money to, just leave here. I can't really live at my dad's place because, he lives all the way in like Virginia Beach. I don't know if I can live with any friends. It's kind of an awkward situation. But I mean, I can understand how frustrating it could be for the siblings or even like the older sibling in general when you're trying to reach out for help and you're trying to reach out to an authority figure and they don't really help you and they don't really assist with much. And you just kind of feel like, you can't really do anything. You have no resources. But yeah. Hi, Schubert. How's it going? At some point, we have to stop letting people have kids. There'll be too many kids that need to be removed from the homes. Yeah, but that's like a different... I don't know if we want to live in a society where we dictate people, who can have kids and who can. And when you're like forcing castration and stuff like that, right? I don't know. That's a little too much, But I totally do understand. Like when I hear situations of, known child abusers who had their kids taken away, and then you hear that they have more kids and you're just like, what is going on? Like, I'm not really quite sure what the courts do about that when, you have people that have had their children taken away from them and they have more kids. So I don't know. That's it just seems like a really fucked situation. But the reason why I really wanted to talk about the Ruby Franke and the Jodi Hildebrandt situation is because I don't know. I think the fact that like a lot of people are covering this, I feel like maybe this is a good way for... I don't know, maybe for viewers or even YouTube to kind of like re-look at or re-examine these family YouTube channels. And I'm not saying all of the family YouTube channels are bad, like explicitly bad, but I think like they're still kind of like, I don't know, maybe like covertly bad, like shoving a camera in your kid's face and having them essentially perform or having their private childhood, their lives like aired out for so many people to see. I don't know. That's just so weird to me. There's this like family YouTube channel that I watch. It's about this woman who, I think she has like a 2-year-old and she just has a newborn baby, but she mainly focuses on, like, I don't know, different types of like methods of teaching their kids. Like one, for example, like Montessori or something like that. And what she does is she doesn't really blast the camera in her children's faces. She actually blurs like the children's faces if they're like kind of in the scene. And then she mainly just focuses on the teaching that she does. It's mostly just focused on her. It's not like, oh my God, let me blast the camera into like my kid's face and then let's talk about puberty. Let's talk about, them like, messing the bed and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. That's just like, it's just so weird. It's just so weird. But I mean, I get that the transition to family YouTube channel, it was kind of natural because there was a lot of people that were starting to vlog their lives, their house, doing like mundane life stuff, maybe like housework. I don't know, like just like gardening or like just house stuff in general. And then like a lot of these people were starting to have kids and they're like, oh, it's a natural progression to start recording me and my kids and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it's really good to talk about this whole situation with Ruby Franke and just the whole YouTube family channel stuff in general. I stopped watching the YouTube family channels after a couple of scandals came out years ago when I was a teen. Monetizing children for your own personal gain who cannot consent is just like so gross. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I even think it's sometimes weird to post pictures of your kids all over like Instagram as if you're like a large public figure. And if you're going to post like nudes of your kids as well, like I know it's cute to have kids, running around with their bare bottom or stuff like that. Like it's cute, kids are cute and stuff like that. But like when you're like a huge public figure and it's like you have a huge following of people and it's like out in social media and it's like, what if your kid's older and doesn't want that out there? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of it's just like really, really weird. Like I get it, you have like your pride and joy, you have a kid and you want to share it with the world. But I think there just has to be like certain boundaries that you really need to set for the kids, Your biggest pet peeve and what scares me the most are the back to school signs with so many personal information on it. Oh, are you talking about the ones where it's like, oh, it's my first day of like first grade? And like, is that what you're talking about? Those are the ones I've seen. I mean, the ones that I've seen for those, it's just like mundane stuff. Just like, oh, this is like my first day of kindergarten. I love doing this. I love eating this and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't seen like, what's the personal information? I don't think I've seen ones was like, does it have like the school in it and like the entire, like the first name, middle name, last name? Like, yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I think it's also interesting too when people have kids and then they blast their kids like full name out there. But oh, with the schools, the teachers, the height, the weight. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, we're hoping that, these kids would never be targeted or anything like that. But I don't know. I tend to err on the side of like, I don't know, paranoia. You're listening to one of Jodi Hildebrand's victims on a podcast. He is one of her patients of whom she shared in Oh, I did hear about, I don't know. I think it's an unconfirmed rumor. I did hear about a rumor that she had her license temporarily suspended because she broke, I don't know, like patient therapist, like confidentiality. Is that what you're talking about? I did hear about that. So he's one of her patients with whom she shared personal information from those sessions with the elders of her religion. Yeah, I did hear about that. Parents do that all the time. My mom posted on Amazon gift. Wait, I got her, but posted the box with a full address and display. Oh, parents don't know any better. Yeah, I have like some of my friends who are, they do like social media stuff, right? But they're like, dude, how do I get my parents and my family members to not follow me? Because when they follow me, it has their whole full fucking name. It has their first name, their middle name, and their goddamn last name. And it's like, they're like, how do I get these people to tell them not to follow me? Don't comment on my posts. I don't want public information out there. So I don't know. I know on Instagram, if you have like a large enough following, you can hide who follows you, but you can't. Yeah, I think like for smaller, like my like Instagram size, I don't think you can hide who your Instagram followers are. Isn't Jodi the kid's therapist? Supposedly, I have no idea. The only thing I know is that I think both women are considered therapists. Maybe Ruby Franke was working on her because I don't think she was a therapist when she was doing her vlogs, right? It was probably after when. I mean, this is just me. It's just all conjecture, but like, I think maybe it was after her YouTube channel. She decided to like, probably take a step away from it. She decided to disable it. Maybe that's when she decided to like take a step into a different direction. And that's why she was creating content with Hildebrand. Maybe that's when she got her therapist license. I'm not really quite sure. But yeah. She was a son's therapist. I heard. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That's just bizarre. I wonder if there's going to be other patients of Jodi Hildebrand's, maybe other parents are going to speak up, or maybe kids who have grown up. Because so far, what we heard, I've seen, we have the niece who did an interview. And then someone in my chat just now, Cecilia, just said that one of Jodi Hildebrand's victims was on a podcast. I haven't listened to that yet. Do you know what podcast it's on? Hi, Tam. How are you? How's it going? Hello, hello. Yeah, there's a lot of information out there. Yeah, a lot of podcasts, a lot of content creators and stuff like that. There's just a lot of information about this family out there. And it's not just Ruby Franke, it's Jodi Hildebrand as well. Oh, it's called Mormon Stories. Okay. Hey, Taxi. Oh, and did you guys hear about the this was like off to my feed randomly, but the apology that it was like with Ashton Kutcher, and I guess he's married to Mila Kunis. Are they married or are they just like friends? I don't know. I assume they were married because they did like an apology video together, but maybe they're not married. But I saw that they did a like apology video because apparently they wrote like letters for, you know, the support of what's his name, Danny Masterson, the guy who was what's it called, the guy that's convicted of rape. Oh, they are married. Okay, they have kids together. Okay, I never know which celebrities are together, so whenever I hear that they're like married, I'm just like, oh, they are. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I gotta say, this stream's keeping me entertained at a very slow day at work, so thank you, y'all. Okay, so Mormon Stories is, okay, Jodi's niece, gotcha. The Ashton Kutcher thing goes deep because he's involved in, oh, really? Yeah, I don't know too much about celebrity stuff. All I know was they wrote these letters, and I don't think they expected the public to find out about these letters. I don't know. I haven't seen the apology video yet, but I heard it's pretty bad. That's why he would risk his career to bat for rapists, even though he runs in an anti-sex trafficking profit. Wait, no, non-profit. I don't know anything about Ashton Kutcher. I just know he used to do those like prank shows. He was married to Demi Moore at some point, and yeah, I don't know. For all of my celebrity, like, you know, gossip stuff, I watch Sloan, so I'll see if he covered it. All right, guys. So let's start with, let's start with Ben Chu. I want to watch Ben Chu's interview with Law and Crime. He does an interview with Jesse Weber, and I don't know if Ann Jeanette's in this. I haven't finished it yet. I think it's just Jesse Weber. And then I did want to watch some snippets here and there. Oh my God, dude, I found one of the worst Ruby Franke videos. I think it's like one of her older content because her kid looks really young. She actually looks really young too, but it was just one of the saddest things I don't know I've ever seen. I don't know what it is with these abusers, but it's always like asserting control over them by withholding food. Like every time when I read these articles about these kids who have been starved or there's been some abuse going on in the household, it's always parents are like, this is my food. You're stealing my food. You're taking my food. This is not your food. It's like a really weird control that like a lot of these parents have in common with each other. And it's always about food. And it's very interesting because a lot of these parents don't really have anything in common. It's like people of different ages, different race, different like income, backgrounds and stuff like that. But it's like, I feel like it always centers around with like food, like telling the children, this is my food. And if you take food from the refrigerator, you're stealing from me. And I don't know. I just always thought that was just so weird. He had a $20 bet he would go full French with Mila when she was like 14. He was 19. It was really creepy. Is that when they were on the, what's it called? The 70s show, right? I didn't really watch that as well. No, not the ukulele. Let's not summon the ukulele. The letters are so horrible. William Baldwin wrote one too. Is that like Alex Baldwin's like brother or something? When you hear or see someone controlling the food, those are red flags, especially when you're telling them that it's my food. This is mine. This is not yours. That's so weird to me. I don't know. That's just so weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'll watch with you guys. I don't have it right now. I have to look it up, but this video that I found that was posted on the 8 Passengers Reddit, it was just so sad. The way that she was talking to her kid, I think it was 3 years old at the time, the way that she was talking to him, the tone, and then at the very end, she pans the camera over to her face and gives the camera a wink when you can visibly tell this child just looks really upset and just really fucking hungry. I don't know. It was just so, I don't know. It's just so sad. So, because I think this child now is the 12-year-old, and just imagine like I don't know, being under that type of care for, I don't know, 12 years of your life, right? I don't know, like, it doesn't seem that she liked the children. It just seems like, I don't know. Like, you know the feeling you get when like you deal with someone who was like bullied when they were younger and they kind of just take it out on the rest of the world. So I don't know if she grew up in like a really weird household, maybe that is very similar to how she treats her kids, and maybe now she's like, oh, now I have the authority. Now I have to. I don't know. It just seems like it's just so weird. It just seems like a formal person who was a former person who was bullied, and now they're just being the bully of their kids. Like I don't know. It's just so weird. And it's really sad too. Like she seems to exude this sort of righteousness, you know, and the authority. And I don't know. I just feel so bad for her kids. I don't know. I don't even know how you even deprogram that. If these kids were, I mean, I'm sure they will, but if they were to go to therapy, like how do you deprogram all of this? That's tough. One of the sad things from the 911 call, if you guys listen to it, I highlighted it in the beginning of my video. It was when the 12-year-old said to the neighbor that it was essentially his fault for being tied up, I guess. That's just really sad, because you can just tell how deeply programmed that child's mind is, where it's like, oh, you know, like I'm hungry, I'm, you know, bound like this, I have these wounds, and it's because it's my fault, you know. It's just really sad. Anyone else get the House of Horror vibes? When you're in the Mormon church, you're told your life will be so fulfilled with kids. She probably didn't feel that. And when she took it out on them because of that, I could see that. I never ever withheld food. It just seems really weird. Like maybe if the child is, I don't know, like the kid goes into the fridge to take a yogurt, okay? A yogurt and some crackers. If the child went to the fridge and took like a fucking hamburger and maybe some like, I don't know, like some fast food or something that's like really unhealthy, then I can see why she's like, oh, don't take the food. Like, you know, like this is not good. But he took like a yogurt. It was like a yogurt and it was like some crackers. And I don't know. And are children supposed to follow like strict eating times? Because she's like, oh, you can't eat until another hour or two. So you have to wait. Like if you're hungry, like just let them eat. I don't know. I think it's weird. As long as your child's not like obesely overweight or anything and eating like hamburgers and maybe like McDonald's nuggets, like I don't see what's the issue with, I don't know, yogurt and maybe some crackers. But we'll watch that video in a bit. She clearly wanted kids at first, but then quickly realized that life was not for her. Plus her husband was, what? A sex addict, which he admitted on YouTube. Wait, her husband admitted this on YouTube? Are you sure? Did he really? I don't know, man. I feel like Kevin doesn't seem like the type of person who'd be admitting stuff like that on the YouTube. Was it, do you have a video? The Turpins. I'm not sure, actually. Turpins. That was a really sad case as well. Turpins. I don't know, just reading off like a couple. Were they Christian? Turpin Dad was a mythical cult leader who made his wife in 13 House of Horrors. Kids worship him as in deeply Christian sect, Laura claims. Maybe Christian? Hello. Oh, well, we kind of just started. We haven't really done any of our content yet. So just a couple things that I wanted to cover today. We're going to watch the Ben Shu interview that he does on Law and Crime. I also want to go over Jodi Hildebrand's niece. She does an interview, and then we want to talk about Lexi Trevizo for a little bit because her lawyer drops in some new information, which I don't know if I feel like the lawyer should just stop, I don't know, dropping new information. I really do. Because it's not like the new information or any information that he's dropping is really shining any light. I feel like it's just making things worse, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like he just maybe stop doing the interviews or something. You love Ben Shu. Yeah, let's watch this. We're gonna start right now.
Represented Johnny Depp in his lawsuit against Amber Heard.
The Jodi niece interview is like hours long. Oh, the one that I have up here, it's only like 20 something minutes long. It must be a shorter one. This one right here. Yeah, this one's like 18 minutes long. I'm not watching the podcast. So I'm sure the podcast one probably is gonna be like 3 hours long. But this one is just like a 18-minute one, and yeah.
A case dominated by abuse allegations and what is abuse at the center of it. Ben, it is so good to see you. Now, I would say I haven't seen you in a while, but that would mean that I haven't seen you in person, which is true. I have seen you a lot because I was just binging the Netflix documentary where you are featured prominently. I have to imagine, Ben, that you have been inundated with
Oh, have you guys seen the Netflix doc yet?
people writing you and telling you that they saw you. Am I wrong?
Jesse, you're right. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to see you again. Yes, I wasn't aware that was coming out until recently, but yes, it seems to have been gotten a lot of eyes on it.
It was on the Connections page when he first started, when it first started out, which he was a part of. He was talking about his pastor on camera about it. His pastor. Wait, you're mixing me up. Pastor. How do you spell pastor? On camera about it with his wife. How'd he do the dishes for sex? Well, is that really sex addict, or is it just like he was just trying to have a connection with his wife, and his wife wouldn't have sex with him unless he did chores, I guess. Oh, that's interesting.
I share that because I didn't realize when it was coming out, and then I just get a million texts, messages, all these things. Were you just in the documentary? Were you just in it?
Pastor, okay.
Apparently, I was in it. I didn't even, wasn't totally aware, but yeah,
you definitely are in it.
I am in it. So Ben, good to see you. Let's talk about this case.
The doc felt so rushed. I feel like if someone were to make a doc about the entire trial, maybe wait a couple years and then re-interview maybe the jury, maybe like some of the attorneys, interview maybe the judge, maybe like, I don't know, like other people that were like involved in this. Hopefully like after when they're retired, don't be writing a book about it when you're still holding the position. But I think it'd be really interesting to have an interview, maybe even have an interview with some of the witnesses as well, on Amber Heard's side, on Jodi Depp's side as well. I think that'd be really interesting. But to have a doc to come out, like, I don't know, like a year and a half after the trial, I felt like, I don't know, is it really going to provide any new information or anything? I don't know. A lot of people said no.
I just want to start. We haven't spoken about it. What are your initial thoughts when you heard about this case?
As a father of two kids, 11 and 12 years old, it really makes my blood boil. I just did a service trip with 23 12-year-old boys and girls. So I've had a firsthand look at how innocent they still are. And the thought
What's a service trip?
of this boy and then his sister being emaciated and
It's like a church thing?
It really shocks the conscience.
It really does. And I think there's such an incredible interest in this case. A, if it was just an abuse case in and of itself, a mom of 6 doing this, what she's accused of, but the fact that she was this YouTuber and people were suspecting it for a while and were invested in the case, a thing or two about high profile cases. And I'm going to give you an example.
Now, apparently, Child Protection Services was called before 2020. I think 2020 was when the big boom of all the like YouTube channels and content creators, when they were covering 8 passengers and the potential abuse that was going on behind closed doors. I don't know. Maybe like before 2020, maybe there were like some people here and there might have maybe called them out. But I think like the major event was in 2020. It was when that video came out. It was called like What We Haven't Told You. And then people realized that one of the sons was sleeping on a beanbag chair for like 7 months. They didn't have a bed to sleep on, was like even sleeping on the floor at times maybe. And then when the other kids were on camera, having their camera pointed at them in a very awkward manner, but having the camera pointed at them, and they're just basically saying that like, oh, we have no friends, we're lonely. And like one of the boys was saying that like he was really sad because he wasn't going to get anything for summer. And, summertime is one of the best times for kids because school is out, you get to have fun, you get to enjoy the summer, you get to enjoy the nice weather. And I don't know, just seeing those kids on the camera was just really sad. And just having the mom pan between all the kids and just kind of like, I don't know, it was just so sad. Neighbors were even calling them out. Yeah. Yep. Because, I feel like people usually try to mind their own business, but when something's happening, there's some fuckery behind the closed doors. I don't know. I feel like for the most part, people try to mind their own business, but there must have been some real shady stuff happening that prompted them to call Child Protection Services. But anyways, in an article that I found, Child Protection Services was called back in like 2018 and like maybe 2019 or something. So maybe there were some other things that were going on, but the huge boom was probably 2020 when a bunch of content creators were calling them out.
Here. So as of right now, Frank.
Oh, also what I want to add is that I know that Ruby Franke's neighbors were, really concerned and calling the police and stuff like that. But what I think is interesting was in the 911 call, it was Jodi Hildebrandt's Jodi Hildebrand's neighbor, who said things like, "Oh, I knew she's a bad lady. I just didn't know how bad," or "Oh, there's always like, bad things going on in the house." I wonder what he was talking about, because Ruby Franke, all her stuff was kind of like aired out. A lot of people were covering it. But with Jodi Hildebrand, what was it in their small community that they knew about her?
Franke and Hildebrand, they're continue to be held without bail following a hearing from last week. That hearing was delayed when the Zoom link was circulated, I believe, on TikTok, and over 1,000 people tried to join this hearing, caused absolute chaos, huge technical problem. It delayed it. The live stream was shut off. Just walk me through why you think there's so much interest in this kind of case.
Well, I think you have.
When the youngest was roaming in the streets and the mother wasn't home for a while. Yeah, that was the neighbors in Ruby Franke's neighborhood. But Jodi Hildebrand, I wonder if there's been CPS ever called to her house, her residence before.
A person who is obviously very popular on social media. She's very physically attractive. You can see, how this would generate interest. You also have the sensational allegations and, 6 children being abused. So I think it's natural that there would be a lot of attention to this. And frankly, I would think there'd be a lot of outrage as well.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the prosecution of Franke and Hildebrand that the public is so invested in this?
The food thing is so hypocritical. One child is punished for not bringing lunch to school, and then another child being punished for getting food from the fridge from themselves.
Hopefully it won't impact the prosecution at all. I mean, I think they really should play it by the book. In other words, just treat her the way they would treat any other mother who was accused of abusing 6 children. And hopefully they will do that. I know as a practical matter, it's impossible to just close your eyes and pretend the cameras aren't there. But as much as you can do that, I think the better off you are, because if you start playing to the cameras or start thinking too much about the media, I think you're going to take the eye off, your eye off the ball. I mean, Novak Djokovic said yesterday, after he won his 24th Grand Slam, that in the last 24 hours before the match,
tennis?
he asked his wife and his family and his supporters not to talk about how much attention there would be to this. And I think the prosecutors should take a leaf from that book.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. On another point, they might be saying the more people know about this, maybe they can bring out further evidence that they didn't have, allegations, things like that. And I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think like the internet has tried to compile a bunch of evidence that maybe they can use against Ruby Franke. I know that Sherry Franke made a post talking about like they're trying to build a case or something like that. Please send anything you might have. Because I know the YouTube channel was deleted, but good thing that a lot of content creators was reacting to some of their content, and that could be forever immortalized into the on YouTube or online forever. But I know all the videos are like gone. I wonder if there's a way for YouTube to get all those videos back. Maybe like in a subpoena or something.
Yeah, right. I think that's going to be important as well. The fact that, oh my goodness, look what came to light. Now someone might feel comfortable coming forward and saying, let me tell you what I saw or heard.
That's a great point, Jesse. We have a case right now where the plaintiff had filed as John Doe. And the first thing we did was move the court to identify him. And the moment the court identified him and made him disclose his name, we were inundated with information about this plaintiff, which was very helpful. Now that's a civil case. Obviously, it's very different, but
right.
I think it would apply even more so, as you said, to a criminal case.
I have to ask you about.
I wonder how other inmates are perceiving her. There was like an inmate roster that we found, that I found on Reddit. I think Ruby Franke's like in like the medical unit or something. Oh no, she's been transferred to whatever D hold is. What about Hildebrand? Hildebrand. ION observation A. ION. What could ION stand for? Prison terms. Sorry, here, I'll share it with you guys really quick. I found this on Reddit. Initially, she was in like medical hold, it said. Franke, yeah. So Franke's in D hold right now. And then Hildebrandt is in ION Observation A. I'm not quite sure what that means. Usually when I think of observation, I mean, I'm just making assumptions here, but when I hear observation, I don't know, I'm just thinking like, I don't know, maybe they're observing her because they might think she might harm herself, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
What happened at this hearing. Again, because of it completely broke down.
Yeah, there's a Wayback Machine, but I don't know if we'll be able to pull YouTube videos. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think we have video of this, but what the reporting indicates from multiple outlets, apparently Ruby Franke was crying in court, and she made these claims that one of her minor children was sexually abusing their sibling and molested several family members, children in the neighborhood, at least I think 20 people. She claimed that this child abused 20 people. She claimed that two of her children were playing some sort of padding game, didn't go into further detail, talked about how one of the children was watching pornography at a young age.
Yeah, and I think it was cited that one of the children was watching pornography at age 3. Age 3? Like, I know kids nowadays are technologically pretty advanced because they got iPads and stuff, but watching porn at age 3, listen, there's something, if that's happening, there's something weird going on in that household.
It's so shocking, and I'm not sure what that
and I would start with the parents first
means to her defense or what that means to her case for her to make this kind of claim.
I think it's tremendously detrimental to her case. First of all, I mean, she should have, if any of this were true, she should have reported it at the time rather than waiting to be arrested and arraigned. So that's number one, because if that abuse was going on, that's on her and her husband, to the extent that the husband was there, which I understand he may not have been. So we shouldn't impugn him at all right now. But that all points the finger at her. And also the fact that she would make those allegations against her own children in a public forum. Now, I don't know whether she identified the child, but it wouldn't be hard to figure out.
I also wonder if that hearing was supposed to be private, so maybe she didn't think that people would, or word would get out or something, or maybe it was public. I don't know. I would assume it would have been private.
It's a finite universe of 6. I think it's terrible for her defense. I think it also shows, it doesn't shine a very good light on her character, that she would say these things in public, even if true.
So the judge said that this child will then need to be placed in a home with no other children in light of these allegations. Again, this is based on the reporting of what happened.
And what if it's not even true? Now this child is being separated from everyone else. I don't know. Like, when you're going through something traumatic like this, I feel like being separated from your siblings, it's probably going to be tough. Usually there's like a bonding thing you have with your siblings, you know, like to be separated from them. That seems, I don't know, like if these allegations weren't true, right? Like, I don't know. This whole thing just seems so fucked.
In that hearing, I'm glad I have you, because I wanted to ask you first about that. If this is totally false and this is just a wild, outlandish claim, could a minor child have a legal action against a parent like this?
Yes, I think so. And I think the cause of action would be stayed until that child hits adulthood. So I don't think the not to be too technical about this, but I think the child does not have to move.
The prison needs to withhold food from them
with the alacrity that anybody else, that an adult would have to move. I think there's a legal presumption that allows him to go to adulthood before the statute of limitations clock begins to run. But yes, I absolutely do think the child has a cause of action against the mother for defamation and for, could be, physical battery and all kinds of other civil versions of the criminal charges that have been filed.
Yeah, before I even get to my next point, I guess in terms of the victims in this case, there's the criminal aspect, but we always know that there's also a civil aspect. Do you anticipate that is something we should be on the lookout? Children suing Ruby Franke for this alleged abuse?
Absolutely. And again, I think they have the luxury, although luxury may not.
Wasn't there a child that grew up at some point and she was forced to be part of this like YouTube family channel with her mom and stuff like that? Didn't she end up suing her mom? I remember there was something going on with that. I forgot who covered it. You guess what I'm talking about?
Not be the right word, but they have the luxury of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oftentimes, as you know,
Maybe it wasn't a lawsuit. Maybe they were trying to bring in a bill or something against these like YouTube family channels to protect kids. Oh man, I don't remember.
people wait until the criminal case has been fully adjudicated before filing the civil action, or they try to stay the statute of limitations. Here, they won't have that issue. But yeah, absolutely, I would anticipate a civil action by the children. But then you get into the issue of, what type of recovery is possible and what kind of assets is Frankie going to have at the end of the day. I know she's a YouTube celebrity, but I think the cost of her criminal defense is going to be such. I don't know what kind of assets she's going to have to satisfy a judgment.
Oh, I just realized there's a picture of him and Johnny Depp hugging in the background. Can you guys see that? Oh, I just saw it. I was like, who is that?
And remember, I said alleged because I'm very curious to see what can be proven. And this is one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you, Ben, because I am bothered by something. I'm bothered by the fact that people for a while suspected that Frankie was up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
There was a change.org petition set up where people signed to have Frankie investigated for
Yep, and that was back in 2020. They set that up after that video surfaced with, the son sleeping on the beanbag for about like 7 months. And I think, I don't know, CPS, I'll just call it CPS, showed up at their door and they, Kevin Frankie did an interview with some article boasting about like, oh, how they came in unannounced and 2 of my daughters were baking cake. Hardly the type of abuse that would be going on. They were so embarrassed they showed up, even though, there's nothing going on. And it's not like one of my son, Chad, is like tied up in the basement somewhere. Like, I don't know. It's just so...
allegations of child abuse. They wanted Child Protective Services to get involved. There was criticism of her online. People were making comments about her. She responded to those comments. Police were called to the home last year after they received reports of the well-being of the kids. In fact, Sherry...
I wonder if Kevin was just like the bystander and maybe, maybe Frankie was the one, Ruby Frankie was the one that took the reins. Maybe Kevin Frankie was just a bystander. Maybe he let her dictate everything. I wonder if that's true. I wonder if he regrets it now.
Frankie, Ruby's daughter, called police to alert them that the kids had been left home alone for, I think it was 5 days. This happened back in September of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these people.
Yeah, because neighbors told her, like, hey, Sherry, like, your mom's been gone for a couple of days and 2 of your siblings have just been running around like the streets, like, unsupervised. What's going on? And so she was concerned, and she also called the cops as well, and the cops went. And I think at that point, though, the cops said that they tried to knock on the door. They saw the kids through the window. No one answered the door. And I think they even saw the kids were on the phone. So maybe the kids were like panicking, like, oh my God, let's call mom and ask mom what to do. Like, mom, like, the cops are here. Mom's probably like, oh, don't answer the door. That's what I'm assuming.
People saying these things.
Were they
about
lovers?
Ruby
We don't
Frankie
know.
and doing all these things in light of Ruby Frankie.
Some people speculated
Here's the part
that,
I
but yeah,
don't
we
understand.
don't know.
I'm bothered by. If all of this was fake, if all of this was lies spread about her, why didn't Ruby Frankie ever file a lawsuit for defamation against anybody?
True. She had her lawyers send out a bunch of like cease and desist letters to content creators, but I don't think they ever did a lawsuit for defamation.
Right? And I never saw that she did. Is that not revealing to you?
It is, because you can imagine, Jesse, if you were accused of such a monstrous thing, or if I were, that would be my...
But he would be like, you mean complicit? If he witnessed the abuse and didn't do anything. And that's one of the most frustrating things that you can deal with. When you have a clear abusive person in a household, and then you have a fucking parent, a grown-ass adult there as well, who won't do anything. You might as well just be participating in the abuse as well. I don't know. That's so fucking frustrating. Where you have one parent you definitely can't trust, and you have another parent that you're trying to appeal to, and you're trying to tell them, like, hey, like, like, this shit is fucked. Like, you need to do something. And they won't do anything about it because they're just fucking, there's a fucking bystander, an enabler. I don't know. That's so fucking frustrating.
First inclination.
God, I'm so glad I'm not a fucking kid anymore.
Now, she would probably have to prove actual malice, which, as you know, is knowledge or reckless, extreme recklessness as to the truth. But I think you would take that on, if you had been accused of this. So I think it is very telling in the case of Johnny Depp. I mean, he certainly uh, took it on despite all the inherent risks of a defamation case because he needed to clear his name.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you could say, well, maybe she felt that nobody was believing her.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. Yeah, fuck those people. Holy shit. I completely understand your frustration. When you're a fucking child and you have to just grow up way too fucking fast because you're surrounded by moron fucking adults.
I don't know. The YouTube channel, she stopped posting videos. She was responding to the criticism, so it seemed like people were believing what was being said about her, which again raises the question why she didn't take legal action if all of this was fake. And also, I'll mention, Ben, when she was arrested, when she was taken into custody, she requested a lawyer and did not speak to police. Now, do you find that to be, hey, that was just a smart legal strategy? She shouldn't say anything?
From what I've heard, she was saying a trending TikTok dance was porn, so I wouldn't take it too seriously. Yeah, I thought about that too, because I wonder if she just blew things out of proportion. Well, it could be true, what her claims are, but I don't know. I remember watching a video of her after she got into an argument with the principal at her kid's school. I think they were gonna do like a TikTok dance to what's the song, like Apple Bottle Jeans or something, which I thought was kind of inappropriate, like low, 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 like having a bunch of kids do that dance. It's kind of weird. But I think she was like so upset that she was like crying. She was like in tears, and she could be a type of person who fucking exaggerates. And maybe when she says porn, maybe her definition of porn is not what our definition is. Maybe it could just be some, some sexy dance or something like that. Maybe it could be like a Victoria's Secret catalog. I don't know, but we'll see.
Or is it suspicious? Because again, if she really had nothing to do with this and she's arrested, she could have easily said, wait a second. My kids are abused. What are you talking about? Are they okay? She chose not to say anything and lawyered up. Your thoughts?
I think it's both. I mean, I think it's both smart legally, but it's also suspect, especially as a mother or a parent. I think your first concern would be the well-being of the child, and once you were satisfied that your 12-year-old, was in safe hands, your concern would be to clear your name and to find out exactly what happened. So yes, I do find it suspicious. So it's not something that the jury will hear.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk to you about something that I was talking about, how things didn't happen earlier. Could she have been arrested earlier? Could this have been stopped earlier? And I wanted to ask you about whether the Department of Child and Family Services could be in legal trouble. I mentioned how police were contacted to check in on the Frankies. Police Lieutenant Warren Foster told NBC News that police made several attempts to follow up what was going on. He said that there were inquiries from the DCFS. DCFS yielded no results. Apparently, they were called to the House in 2020. You have Representative Christine Watkins, who is a chair of a panel that reviews the DCFS, and she said, quote, I had concerns when I heard about the case. Not only were neighbors calling, but older siblings were calling too.
There's this book that I read. It's called The Body Keeps Score, I think. The Body Keeps a Score, Body, Mind, and Brain, Mind, and the Body and the Healing of Trauma. It's about complex, is it CPTSD? I think this is the one, Body Keeps Score. I think so. It was a pretty interesting read. I read it for free with my little Libby app that I have. It's like a library thing where you can access books digitally and not have to pick them up physically. So that was a pretty good read. The Body Keeps the Score. Yeah, I think this is the one that I read.
Sounds like those kids were in pretty bad shape, and it's certainly something we have the right to call DCFS out on to know what might have gone wrong. We always have this conversation in child abuse cases. Why did not the Department of Family and Child Services do more? Could they be held liable in any way? What do you think?
Yes, I believe they could be. DCFS will enjoy, and I don't know the particular Utah statute, but they will enjoy some measure of sovereign immunity. But
as a kid, I can honestly say I underappreciated my parents. Well, as an adult, if you're an adult now, you can appreciate them now. So I don't know. I mean, you're just a kid. You know anything,
It should not be impossible to sue them. I've had cases where we've sued government entities, state government entities, and you have to navigate around the immunity issues. But absolutely they can be sued, and it sounds like they have a lot to answer for in this case. I mean, just one of the clips showed her on her program saying that she wouldn't feed the children until they completed their chores. Now, again, as a parent, you do want your kids to do their chores, but I don't, I think it is wildly inappropriate, if not abusive, to withhold breakfast until they've done their chores. I mean, I think there are other inducements you can give to your children, but that it certainly
Yeah, it was just so
dovetails with the
weird.
allegation that two of the children at least were emaciated.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think there was one video where she's telling her son that they would lose the privilege to eat dinner if the child continued play fighting. There's another video where she said,
Did parents used to do this back in the day? Like back in the day, like maybe like our parents, like when our parents were kids, or like when our grandparents were kids. Like, was this actually something that they did back in the day? I know that like my mom's age, or like my mom's era, grandparents' era, even like when I was a kid, spanking was like a huge thing. Spanking was implemented, but I've never had food withheld before, ever. No matter how, how much I pissed off my mom as a kid, or my siblings, like we got spanked, but never had food withheld. I think the only thing that would have been with food was if we were too picky and we're like, oh, I don't want to eat that. Well, my mom wouldn't accommodate us. It'd be like, okay, well, let me get you some McDonald's, honey. No, fuck that. It's like, if you didn't eat this, you didn't fucking eat it. It's on you. So that's what I had. That's what I grew up with. But it wasn't like, oh, you can't eat this because, X, Y, and Z. Being sent to bed without supper was oh my gosh, I've seen that in movies before. Being sent to bed without supper. Okay, go to bed without supper was a thing. So maybe this was something that was like implemented on her when she was a kid. Maybe her parents was really strict. And this is just something that she just kind of, decided to utilize on her own kids. We had chores, we got spank, we got sent to bed without dinner for misbehaving, but not regular thing. Maybe, dessert. Yeah, I could see the dessert thing. I think the dessert thing will be okay, where it's like, okay, well, no dessert for you. Okay. I was started with like no ice cream, but that's it. I feel like my generation, not quite enough to be millennials, where people really started to speak out against, spanking.
said that her 6-year-old needed to go hungry after forgetting to take her lunch to school. I imagine it's videos like that that could be a key piece of evidence in a future prosecution against her. We talked about her husband, Kevin Franke. He hasn't been arrested. He has a lawyer, and his lawyer appeared on Good Morning America and claimed that Kevin, had no role in the alleged abuse of these children, that Kevin and Ruby have been living separately for 13 months. I'm curious in his position.
Okay, so I don't know if maybe Kevin's so we have quotes from Kevin's attorney, and Kevin's attorney has also quoted Kevin as well. And all the quotes that I've seen, maybe just the ones that I've seen, but the ones that I've seen so far are just, oh, I'm not involved, I'm not guilty. And then it's like, oh, Kevin is such a good guy, he would never do this, blah, blah, blah. But none of the quotes that I saw were quotes from Kevin saying, oh my God, I'm so worried about my kids. I can't believe this happened. Ruby's such a horrible person, or like, I'm concerned for my children. Like, I don't know. I didn't see any of those quotes, but I just don't know if maybe those quotes just didn't make it to the articles that I read. I haven't seen the video interviews or anything like that. But I just thought it was kind of weird that the first quotes that you saw from Kevin and his attorney, it wasn't like, oh, I'm worried for my children, or this is like heinous, this is disgusting, I can't believe this happened. It was just like, oh, I'm not involved. And oh my God, Kevin's such a good guy. But yeah, it could just be from the quotes. Maybe the articles just didn't report on those, but I feel like they would have. But anyways, in many movies from the 80s, they show parents punish their children without having dinner. So here in the country, we think that it's normal in your country. So it turns out it's not. She would say, if you want your own space and things, get your own space and things. This is my space. Oh, I did remember hearing something like that. Yeah. Yeah, where I've seen Jodi Hildebrand preach about this too, where it's like, we are the adults here. We're not supposed to trust our children. We're not supposed to trust our daughter. If anything, we're supposed to, what was the term that she used? It's when you're like constantly criticizing them, but not the word criticism. It's a different word that she used. and essentially saying like, the parents are in control. This is your house. This is your, I don't know. And the kids are just like accessories to it. I don't know. Like, the way they word it is just really, really, really weird. Man, I wish I had that footage on hand. Not demean. What was the word that they used? Scrutinize. Yeah. Where it's like, you are not supposed to trust your child. You're not supposed to trust them. You're supposed to scrutinize them. Because you know how sometimes when like kids grow up, they're teenagers, they want their space, they want their privacy. And it was something about like how you don't get privacy in this house. I know everything. I know every single little bit. And it was like, you don't have your own privacy. You don't have your own personal space. This is my house. It's not until you grow up, then you can have all of that. It was like something like that. Where I was just like, damn, that's fucking wild. Because, when you're a teenager, yeah, like, I think what it should be is you should have a good enough relationship with your teen to hopefully have like an open communication, right? That's what you want to go for. But the way that they were doing it was like in a very dictator fashion where it was like all about control. It was all about these like manipulation. I don't know. That seems so fucked.
What he might be looking out for in terms of comments that are made about him, if people are falsely accusing him of abuse. But at the same time, I wonder if people are thinking, well, if this is a pattern of abuse of these kids that was going on for quite some time, A, would he be a witness? Or B, could he potentially be criminally charged? And so his position right now.
And what I don't trust about these like family YouTube channels, I know it can be frustrating sometimes to create content, but like what if you're creating content and then your kids aren't doing or reacting the way that you want them to react, or like the video didn't get as much views? Like, does she take him out on the kids? I don't know. I could totally see people doing that.
I'm very curious legally, where do you think it stands?
Yeah, he is in a tricky position, and a lot of it, as you suggested, Jesse,
this is the
is going
husband,
to go
Kevin.
to the physical evidence. I believe with the 12-year-old who escaped through the window and got to the neighbors, that there was evidence of there were a lot of sores, and it would be interesting to get the medical reports from the doctors to see whether there are any scars and how they can date back the injuries, because if there was evidence of physical injuries before the 13 months, beyond the last 13 months, then he's got a lot of explaining to do. You can't let your spouse abuse your children. So, again, as you said, we have to be careful. We don't know that happened. We don't know that the abuse went back further, but that's going to be a crucial issue for the police.
And also with the amount of control and manipulation that's like exerted on these kids, how can they transition into the real world? Especially if you're like isolated, you don't have, you're not really having friends, teenager. Like, I don't know when the isolation stuff started beginning. It seems like the kids were going to school, but I guess at some point, maybe the kids weren't going to school anymore. And maybe they were being homeschooled or something. I'm not really quite sure when that happened, but I don't know. It must be so hard for these kids. Like, I wonder how Sherry's transition was from, being under the umbrella of her mom, living in her household, and to transitioning into being out in the real world, with like real people, real friends, college world. Like, that must be such a hard transition for them.
And will be a crucial issue.
I knew a pastor and his wife from church years ago that kept their cabins locked and charged their kids for extra bowls of cereal. That is so, so weird. When people have to lock up their food because they don't trust their kids, that's just so weird. What a weird dynamic that you're just having with your kids. That's so weird. I mean, I could understand going into like extreme measures if the kid was like, I don't know, waking up at like 2 a.m. in the morning to eat like a fuck ton of like ice cream, maybe. But Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems really extreme. My parents would limit my PC use. I can understand that. Would turn it off. When they moved with me, one day I turned off their computer and told them, now you know how it feels.
Issue for him, but no matter what, at a minimum, he is going to be a material witness. It's also hard, just from a matter of common sense, although I guess it's not impossible, that the abuse suddenly started 13 months ago.
I'm sure he's seen the children in that time and spoken to Ruby Franke, and so if he knew something, that's where the questions begin. But again, he has not been criminally charged with anything. He is an innocent party at this point.
So what he said so far, he said that Ruby Franke had the kids for the summertime. So, but here's what I'm wondering. It's like, do you not talk to your kids on the phone? I mean, there's like FaceTime nowadays. Maybe the kids didn't have access to the FaceTime device. I don't know. It's just weird.
And people, I mean, I guess they're free to speculate, but they have to be careful with what they say about Kevin Franke.
They should, and it goes back to a larger point you have made is that there not only do you have a presumption of innocence, but we also have a belief in due process in the country, and that even of course applies to Franke herself. Although, you know, the outburst at the arraignment really, you know, suggests a lot of things that aren't good for her, but definitely, I think let it play out. I don't know why people have to necessarily leap to conclusions. Let's, you know, we all saw, you know, the Duke Lacrosse case. You know, we've seen a number of instances where allegations are not proven. So I think people should take a deep breath and let it play out. Let the system play out. And there may be other reasons why, you know, the police have not
Right.
indicted the husband yet.
I had a friend in foster care who was beaten by the foster mom for having a frozen uncooked egg roll when her siblings got steak for dinner. Jesus. I had this really weird, abusive babysitter when I was a kid. And one of the things that I still don't understand to this day, I don't know, it's just like a weird food control thing. But I remember my mom she would go work at the restaurant. She would drop us off at this lady's house. And my mom would get fried rice, like shrimp fried rice from this Chinese restaurant for us to eat for dinner, right? And I remember when I sat there, I think I used a fork to just like stab through a pea to eat it. And she flipped the fuck out. She flipped out and then she sent me upstairs and I couldn't eat the rest of the food. She probably fucking ate it. Shit, my mom paid for it. But I never understood that. I never understood why I was in trouble. She never explained it to me. She just flipped the fuck out, started yelling at me, took my plate away, berated me and made me go upstairs. And I didn't know what her issue was. I was like, is it because I ate one single pea and maybe that was like a rude way of eating fried rice? Maybe I'm supposed to scoop the whole thing. I don't know. Till this day, I still don't know what happened. She already fucking died because I would read the fuck out of her as an adult. I'd be like, yo, what the fuck was up with this? But she's already dead. But yeah, it was so weird. That's why I feel like I'm never gonna have like babysitters for my kids. Or even like when I go out of town and I have people watch my dogs, it's like people that I trust and people that I know are like really chill. No, I don't want people with like anger issues watching my dogs. Okay, my kids, like none of that. I don't know. You just never know how people are. And I got cameras everywhere. I had a babysitter babysit with kiwi in my mouth because I hated the taste and couldn't swallow it. It felt like I sat there for 30 minutes. What? So weird. Yeah, I don't know. People are just really, really weird.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very fair point, and I think it's important for people to remember that. Look, when we followed your case, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, a central theme is, well, what is abuse? It's obviously, we know the classic definition of physical abuse, but you know, is there emotional abuse? Is there psychological abuse? And it really became a study.
And I feel like that's like the worst type of abuse, the psychological ones. Those are the ones that like leave the scars. It's not like when I think of like the shit that happened to me, I'm not like, oh, is that one time where I got hit or the one time where I got spanked with this? No, it's like the whole psychological shit that happens. And that's the shit that like fucks up people the most, in my opinion.
So because you are an expert on what this means, I was very curious to your thoughts on the charges here.
Let's see, my brother was like, I think my brother was 1 year old or 1.5. I'm 4 years older than her. I was like 5 to 6 years old. What a fucking bitch.
Did it in a past sidebar. So they're each facing
crazy.
6 counts. And the way to summarize it is basically when we talk about aggravated child abuse under Utah law, it's a physical injury that could be torture. That's one charge. Another charge could be any, physical injury that results in starvation or malnutrition. There's another one, physical injury that creates a severe emotional harm, a developmental delay, intellectual disability. There's another one where it's physical injury and includes a combination of 2 or more physical injuries inflicted by the same person, whether at the same time or at a different time. seems so broad and includes so many different potential acts that they charged Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand under. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I think when people initially saw the 6 charges, they probably just thought of like, oh, maybe like 6 charges for the 6 kids. But if you look at the charges are actually kind of a little bit different. It was like there was a charge for like physical abuse or something, a charge for what was it? Like there was 2 of the charges were the same. I think for each of the maybe like the young boy and the young girl, and then one of the charges was like for multiple instances of like child abuse or something. But I remember there was one for like mental anything that would like hinder the mental development or something like that, and there's one for like physical abuse. I don't remember, but yeah, they were like a little bit different. Oh, I think that's weird. I remember mostly the punishment with food was when you had to sit there until your plate was done. I really hated liver and the organ meats that my mom seemed to love was big in them days. Yeah, I think that's weird where you're forcing your kids to overeat when they're full. I think that's weird. Assuming the portions are American large or something, you know? Yeah. Like if the kid doesn't want to eat, if they're not hungry, then I don't know. I think the overeating thing is like weird.
Well, I think you have to make, I think there's a sharp distinction to be made between adults and children. So it's one thing if you were to berate me or make horrible statements about me, which I hope you wouldn't.
I would never. I would never.
I have the highest respect for you, but that would have one impact. But it's quite another if it's an adult to a child. I mean, so a physical abuse, everybody would agree, whether it's an adult or a child, that is abuse. That is, and it can be civil and criminal. But when you're talking about a child, berating in a sharp manner strikes me as far more abusive than an argument between spouses or an argument between partners in a law firm. Things can get heated without being abusive. But and then you multiply that by several factors when you're talking about a parent. Something that a parent can say to a child has enormous impact. I mean, we've all read stories, of people, and I remember things my parents said to me when I was a child, that not abusive, but you remember the good and the bad. So I think there's a real scale, and I think all of what has been alleged here would certainly fall into the category of abuse because you're talking about really minor children.
Yeah.
12 is really young. Those
10.
kids are not mature emotionally.
10 and
when a
12,
parent,
the 2 victims.
it's
Yeah.
just it's beyond belief. And again, going back to the presumption of innocence, she has that, but the allegations here all would seem to justify the 6 indictments.
Yeah, I mean, and when you think about it, and you said it, you're dealing with such a defenseless victim, a vulnerable victim who's in the care and the custody of another, and it becomes very tough to defend, which is what I want to end our conversation on. Potential defenses for Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand, considering that not only the charges that I mentioned would be found guilty of if they themselves inflicted this injury, but the statutes also read that if they permitted another to do it, they could be found guilty. So I'm not sure what the defense is. Do they blame each other?
I don't know, man. I think they're gonna try to blame the kids. I feel like it's adults versus kids. I don't know. I really don't think that they're gonna start blaming each other. I think they're just gonna blame the kids. We'll see though.
Do they say they had no idea what was happening, even though their children were found in Jodi's residence? The fact that I believe they published a video 2 days earlier when they were both there and the children were there. I don't know what a potential defense could be for either Franke or Hildebrand. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree, and to the extent that one of them tried.
That's Jodi Hildebrand's residence, right? 'Cause I saw that like where she lived in Santa Clara Ivans, I think it's called. I think I saw that it was pretty close to Vegas, actually.
Tries to go down the road, especially Frankie, that, oh gee, I don't know what was happening at Hildebrand's house. Well, then there's a negligence and abuse right there. I mean, we make very careful If someone's looking after our kids or they're going to somebody else's house, we know
Man, I wish we got it. I wish we got an interrogation video.
who they are and we know what's going on and we know their background. So I think you're right. I think she's in a real, I think Franke is in a real trick box in terms of defenses, and Hildebrand certainly is as well. I think she may go down the route, or they may consider going down the route of some kind of mental defect. Maybe arguing something about the breakup of her marriage or the separation. But that goes back to the point of when the abuse began. I don't think most people begin abusing their children just because they get separated or divorced. I mean, that wouldn't be an excuse anyway, but
Yeah.
they have to look for something like that, because otherwise I think these are just, I think all jurors would really empathize with kids at these age. And what really struck me, and I'm sorry for going on too long,
There's quite a bit about Kevin in there. Oh, what about Kevin, Alexandra? The only Daily Mail article I saw was the one that a lot of people were talking about, where apparently there was like a Thursday hearing, and then Ruby was alleging that there was some things going on with her kids. Yeah.
is the 12-year-old saying it was my fault.
Mm.
I mean, that almost made me cry when I saw that. I mean, that really shows, as much as the injuries, the extent of abuse that this kid had, is that somehow he believed that not being fed and, you know, being tied by his ankles and his wrists was somehow his fault. And that,
because remember, the neighbor in the 911 call was asking the kid, like, "Hey, like, why is there tape on you? Like, what's going on?" And then the kid responds saying, "There's nothing got going on with us," because the neighbor was trying to figure out, like, "Hey, like, who did this to you? Was it your mom? Was it your dad? Who did this to you?" And the kid really wouldn't say, right?
that's just heartbreaking.
The whole case is incredibly heartbreaking to think about, and we're going to probably learn a lot
Right,
more
Alexandra? Yeah.
as it continues through the system. Ben Chu, always great to have you on. Great.
All right, so that's Ben Shoot. This is something that I found on Reddit, and this is just one of the, I think it's the saddest video that I've seen so far of the Ruby Franke stuff, and there's a lot of sad videos out there. I'm sure there's even more sad ones, but I just thought this was just so sad, and the way that she acts in here, it's just so gross. Oh my god. Do you guys remember Amy's baking cafe or whatever? Remember, you guys ever watched the Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares? He goes to like this Amy's baking cafe with like her and her husband. They run it, and they're just like crazy batshit people. Probably one of the worst episodes I've ever seen before. She kind of looks like Amy in this one. Because I remember Amy would have like this blonde hair. You know, she was like pretty, but like she would have like horrible makeup. I don't know. She kind of looks like Amy in this one. Oh, yeah. Your adult boys and you live, have a good relationship. We still live on, the same property. That's nice. Feel free to post in the Discord if you like. Discord link is here. We have a true crime section. Feel free to post any of the true crime stuff in there. But yeah, this is like one of the sad videos. So it says 3-year-old R gets caught stealing food. I found this video that I haven't seen circulating. I have the original without the blurring. I can edit, but I don't know how to add the video. Okay. It's just so sad.
You cannot just get into the cupboard and take yogurt and crackers. You can't come in the...
Hold on, let me make the audio louder.
You cannot just get into the cupboard and take yogurt and crackers. You can't come in the kitchen and take whatever...
And like I said, it's just yogurt. It's crackers. It's not like he's going through the kitchen and taking like a McDonald's hamburger and like some chicken nuggets. Like this is just wild to me. Yogurt, crackers, really?
You can't come in the kitchen and take whatever you want, whenever you want. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
And like the son's response, like he's not even saying anything. He's just kind of like making noise, like okay. And she pans the camera to him, asks this really awkward question. And what really upsets me the most is her demeanor at the end of the video. Just watch. Maybe I should just watch this whole thing uninterrupted. Okay, I'll shut the fuck up. Uninterrupted.
You cannot just get into the cupboard and take yogurt and crackers. You can't come in the kitchen and take whatever you want, whenever you want. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Are you a growing boy? Is that why you keep getting into the kitchen?
Yeah.
Look at me. I will feed you a very good lunch, but you have got to promise to stay out of the kitchen. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Lunch is in 1 hour. I think you're cute when you're sad.
No.
I don't know. There's just so much wrong here. There's just so much going on. So I thought maybe she was like genuinely upset at him. But the fact that she smiles and does that wink to the camera, the fact that she pans the camera from her to her son, shoves a camera in his face, and then she's like, "Are you a growing boy?" It's like, what the fuck is wrong with her? They're just so and she looks really young here. I'm assuming the 3-year-old might be the 12-year-old that was found wandering in the neighborhood, knocking the neighbor's door with duct tape and the wounds on him. So I think it might be the same son. Jesus, like this is like what, 9 years ago. This is crazy.
You cannot just get into the cupboard and take yogurt and crackers. You can't come in the kitchen and take whatever you want, whenever you want. Are you hungry?
Like, I understand, okay, maybe the first part, she doesn't want the kid to go through the kitchen and just take whatever. Okay, I guess I understand that. But with the context of me seeing her other videos where she said, this is my house, this is my food, this is all mine. So once we have that in our head, this is even more weird. But what I already thought was weird about this was when she takes the camera, pans it over to him.
Yeah.
She's like, "Are you hungry?" He says, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, well, you're going to wait an hour. I don't care. I'm going to make you a nice lunch." It's like, what's her definition of nice lunches? Maybe she's underfeeding these kids. Maybe her definition of nice lunches is like half of like loaf of bread or something, maybe like some celery sticks, and that's about it. I don't know.
Are you a growing boy? Is that why you keep getting into the kitchen?
Yeah.
And then like her doing this like interrogation thing. And then I guess the kid is not looking at her. So she's like, "Look at me." And the kid has like the hand, like maybe like in his mouth or something. And she like takes the hand down. Like, there's just so much going on here where it's just so sad. Yeah. She's like on a power trip.
Look at me. I will feed you a very good lunch, but you have got to promise to stay out of the kitchen.
Such a weird control thing.
You understand?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't look overweight here. The kid's like sighing. And then I don't know, what really upsets me is when she turns the camera back towards her, she smiles and does a wink thing. Like she's just fucking with him at this point.
Lunch is in 1 hour. I think you're cute when you're sad.
And I don't know why I don't know, maybe she's trying to like please the viewers who are watching this by saying, "I think you're cute when you're sad." So essentially maybe telling the child that like, "Hey, when you're sad, it's not a bad thing. It's a cute thing. So maybe you should be more sad more often." You know, I think it's why there's just so much going on. Why say all this? If she said that like, "Oh, I think it's cute when you're sad because maybe, you know, the kid came up to her and asked to open like Christmas presents." She's like, "Oh, it's not Christmas yet." And the kid gets sad. And she's like, "Oh, I think it's cute when you're sad." You know, maybe in that tone. But the fact that like the kid is hungry, trying to get food, and she's telling the kid, "Oh, I think it's cute when you're sad." Basically telling the kid like, "Hey, being sad is, you know, it's going to be accepted here." Like, I don't know. This video is just so weird. So weird. Amy's Baking Company, she was in Scottsdale, Arizona. She was also on Dr. Phil complaining how Ramsey mistreated her. Her and her husband are batshit crazy. Maybe the edits make them look really bad, but I don't know. I think they were just batshit crazy. None of my 5 were overweight. I fed them when it was time, gave snacks. And it's also probably like if your kids are overweight, it's probably the type of food that they're eating, maybe the portions. But honestly, like if you want to do portion, you could probably give them like some like healthy stuff and they can eat a lot of it. But it's probably like maybe you're giving them like fast foods, you know, things with like a lot of like high fatty contents. Maybe like, you know, like make the McDonald's often and all that. I can't watch if there's a jury trial. I'm glad I won't be on jury. I would not want to watch any of the videos. Yeah, it's really sad. There's so many of them. I think there's a lot of people that are reposting videos on TikTok, on YouTube of like all the deleted footages and stuff like that. But like I found this and I just thought it was really, really fucking sad. So sad. But anyways, let's go over to the. So this is a niece of Jodi Hildebrand. She does an interview, and I think it's kind of interesting what she says. She thinks that most of the teachings, all the stuff that's going on right now with the children, she thinks that Jodi Hildebrand is like 100% behind it.
When was the last time you either saw, spoke to, or in a way heard from Jodi? Has it been a long time?
It's been a long time. I think it was a family member's wedding, like probably over a decade ago.
You were also under her care at one point, right?
Yeah, I was left in her care when I was a teenager, for a little under a year.
Have you met Ruby before?
No, I've never met Ruby. This is the first time I've ever been heard of her. I have gone and watched at least some of her videos. They're very difficult to watch just for my own experience with that form of therapy. It's quite triggering, to be honest. So I've never met her, but the things that she is saying and regurgitating are very, very familiar to me. It's interesting to watch I understand.
I wonder how many parents do they have that are signed up for their courses and stuff like that? How many other people are like eating this shit up?
But it's interesting to watch the world respond to her and kind of putting her at the forefront. And I understand that she's the mother of these children, and it makes sense. But the philosophies and the therapeutic modalities that she's using are Jodi's. And these are not new. These are not, this is a pattern that Jodi has been engaged with for at least 14 years. I don't know if there are other people that she's used these on, but she's definitely taught. I know that she teaches parents to use these types of therapies, as she would call them. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience watching everyone focus on Ruby, and I understand why. But this is Jodi. These are Jodi's words. These are Jodi's ideas. These are over decades old. So
I wonder if she's gonna maybe she will get into like the specific experience that she's had with her aunt. I wonder if it's like being withheld, maybe withheld food, maybe being put in restraints against your will. Like I wonder what sort of teachings specifically that she endured from Jodi.
Yeah.
Is that why you've called Jodi the mastermind behind all of this?
Yes. That doesn't excuse Ruby's involvement and her perpetuating these beliefs and these systems, but Ruby didn't come up with this. Ruby obviously supports it and has used these on her children, but this is coming from Jodi.
In short, can you describe what you mean? Like which practices are you talking about, just to make sure we're clear, because I know there's a lot out there. So which ones are you talking about that you've seen that you're...
Okay, so this is how far I got into the video, I think, originally. Your pediatrician told your mom to stuff you with cheeseburgers. You're a perfect weight for your height, but I really burned the calories as a kid. Yeah, I was very active. Luckily, my parents were the types that didn't really care about supervising their kids. So we just ran around in the neighborhood unsupervised, played all the time, and yeah, it was really fun. That's probably the best part of my childhood, was having parents that just didn't really give a fuck, and then you just did whatever you wanted.
Hearing about pertaining to her children that you're familiar with too.
Sure, yeah. So the things that I experienced while living with Jodi, I experienced being tied. I experienced being duct taped.
Why? Why were parents okay with this? How could they even think this is okay? What is this the punishment for? That's so fucking weird. What kind of message does that send to your kids, especially when they grow up? Tied, duct tape. So fucking weird.
Experienced being blindfolded. I experienced severe isolation. I experienced severe emotional, spiritual, and psychological abuse. I experienced the being told I shouldn't be around other people, being told that I was dangerous to be around. People were afraid of me to the point where I was afraid of myself. I was physically, I was forced to sleep outside in the snow. I was, like I said, isolated for up to 12 hours a day. If someone spoke to me directly, if I wasn't wearing duct tape on my mouth, I had to just stare at them and not respond, because she also had.
Wait, so I wonder in the courses that she's doing on connections, does she, like, when she get new parents that sign on to these courses, does she like slowly ease them into like the whole duct taping thing, the isolation thing? Like, does she slowly ease them into it? Or is it just like, bam, 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 you need to do this, X, Y, and Z, and the parents just go along with it? Like, I don't understand how none of this has been reported yet. Or maybe it has been and nothing was done. This is wild. This is crazy.
Systems of people that would report back to her if I broke any of these rules. And her whole thing, which is deeply, darkly ironic, is that everything stems from shame, and how horrible shame is. And that all of the reason, like all of mental illness, all tics, so like OCDs, addiction, everything stems from shame, which is just horrifying, because she is the greatest perpetuator of shame. She also, and this is like a very deep connection, and why I chose to come forward to the media rather than just staying with the podcast. She accused me of being a sex addict. She accused me of being addicted to masturbation, to the point where I wasn't allowed to, I mentioned this on the podcast, to the point where I wasn't allowed to use tampons. I never was allowed privacy unless I was isolated. So that included the bathroom. I was never allowed to.
It is weird, because parents should not be duct taping their kids. This shouldn't be something that's like normal to hear about. Duct taping, tying them down. This whole thing is crazy. Now, while we have heard of people who, are sick, or, there are some people out there that do weird shit like that, stuff like this is still not normal. It's still weird.
To have the door closed, because she was convinced that I was just constantly masturbating. She was convinced that I was addicted to porn. I had never seen porn at that point in my life. I didn't even know that people with.
Do you think that maybe Jodi was creating these issues to scare the parents enough into getting them to allow their kids to be subjected to this type of fucking abuse? I wonder, because she's saying that, like, I didn't even know what porn even was, but maybe Jodi was like whispering into her parents' ears, scaring them shitly, to the point where the parents were like, okay, fine, we'll do whatever you say, Jodi. We'll do whatever you say. Jesus. My
anatomy could masturbate. Like, I had no idea any of this stuff, but I just believed her, because she used religion and God as a mode of control. And a mode to manipulate. And so I just believed all of these things. So her ability to convince you of these neuroticisms and these behaviors is, and I was a teenager. And so a child in that position of being told this over and over and over and over again, which I'm certain he was, stood no chance. She also, because of the abuse and torturing that was going on, and the belief that she had that I was doing something more. So her rationale to the severity of these punishments and this physical and emotional abuse was, she wanted to make my life, and this is like her quote, like this is what she would tell me all of the time. She wanted to make my life so uncomfortable that it would force the sin out, that it would force me to confess. So things continuously got worse and worse and progressively more and more intense as a way to get me to confess, because she believed that if I
Is Jodi Hildebrandt, is she also a Mormon as well? Does she also like regularly attend church? Like, I don't know. I feel like we don't really know much about Jodi Hildebrandt right now. Was she also getting other families at her church to do this?
I had confessed everything, if all of my sins were out and in the open, that I would be getting better. And I was declining like very fast, exponentially. And so she just kept ramping it up. And so to hear Ruby tell the world that her child is a sex addict, a predator, and has been addicted to porn since he was 3 years old, it just echoes exactly the things that she was telling me and telling everyone around me. And I know that I think I don't know if I got this right, but I'm pretty sure that she's saying that he even confessed to it. Well, I also confessed to things that I didn't do as a way of trying to get the abuse to stop. Because when she's like drilling it into you both psychologically and physically that there's more, and it will stop once you tell her, because that's what she would tell you, like in the middle of the.
I think she's going to be a very important witness against Jodi Hildebrandt, and I hope, you know, if this is true, I hope they can get other people that are willing to speak out about this. This is just fucking bizarre. It's crazy.
You should be like, I'll stop as soon as you tell me. As soon as you tell me what's going on, like what you did. Oh, she was also convinced that I had abortions. She was convinced she made me do 12-step because she was convinced I was an addict, like a drug addict as well. I'd never done drugs. I'd never had sex. Again, I didn't know that masturbation was even possible. I had no idea what these things were. So I just started making things up as a way, as like trying to get this to stop, because I had no one there to help me and to save me. And I think I even said that on the podcast, that I was making things up. And when I spoke to the detective down in St. George.
Oh, she spoke to a detective? Wait, back then or recently?
George, days ago, I told her that as well. It's like and so
recently,
even if he had confessed, it cannot be taken seriously, because this child was being tortured. And I'm certain that she echoed those words of like, if you tell me, I will stop. So what is happening, it just echoes so close to home of what she did to me. And the repercussions, the emotional and physical repercussions.
See, when I was researching this, I mainly focused on Ruby Franke because of the whole YouTube channel thing and how she's had allegations levied at her back to like 2020, and how CPS was called to her house multiple times, and how Sherry has come out and tried to speak out about this. I wasn't even focusing on Jodi really. I was like, okay, Jodi's this like woman that she was doing business with. She's part of this connection things. I didn't really know too much about her. But I feel like this whole thing just goes way even deeper, potentially. I mean, from her interview, but this goes way even deeper with Jodi Hildebrandt.
Of those actions, like the fact that she can, because the thing that's so sinister about this is that it can't be disproven. So even if like she goes to prison, you know, his name is cleared, it will never be fully cleared, because it cannot be disproven. So this is going to potentially follow him for the rest of his life. So even with those children being taken out of her care, she is still abusing them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying as well, because, you know, let's say like none of this is true, or if it was true, the fact that this is all out there and you're just a kid, you don't know any better, like this is crazy. Yeah, that's so wild.
And so with whatever is happening, whatever did happen, I can guarantee you it's not what she's saying.
Her business, Connections Classroom, is this the same approach she uses for all of her patients as well that are not family or not Ruby's kids, as well as you know?
I don't know the intricacies of what she promotes and what she teaches on Connections Classroom. If it's anything even close, then I mean, I'm certain that there's going to be parallels. I know that she believes that all shame should be punished. And I know that like that. So like, I wouldn't be surprised. I really don't know. I've stayed away as much as possible from her and her world, to just heal
Yeah,
and
it's
to
traumatizing.
try to salvage any life that I could possibly live post living with her.
With that said, it sounds like this wasn't really a secret, though. Obviously, you knew about these teachings. Other people in her family, probably both families I've been hearing, knew.
Do we know if Jodi, does she have kids? You know what? And this might be what the neighbor's talking about. Because remember, I was really confused about the neighbor's comment about Jodi Hildebrandt. Because I know that the neighbors were, concerned with Ruby Franke's kids in her neighborhood, but Jodi's house is like 3.5 hours away from the Springville family house that Franke has. But this might be what the neighbor was talking about. The neighbor was saying, like, yeah, like we knew she was a bad person. We knew there's like bad things going on over there. It's probably this entire thing that's blowing up right now.
Knew about some of these practices or had heard of. Why do you think it took to 2023 for a child to escape, go to a neighbor's house, call 911, and now this is a thing? Like, why did it take this long?
I think it's a combination of quite a few things. One, the church supports her. She's been promoted by the church, and people trust the church. Members trust their bishops, they trust their stake presidents, and a lot of these people, most people that are going to therapy, if not all, are in a vulnerable position. And she is remarkably convincing. She is also terrifying if you cross her, because she has and will systematically destroy your life. She destroys your reputation. She destroys any of your credibility. So even because there are definitely people that have been speaking out against her. I mean, she lost her license because of someone speaking out in 2012. Like, she's not just.
What was the podcast one again? Someone in the chat mentioned that the victim spoke out on a podcast recently. What's the name of the podcast? Oh my God, I feel like I gotta I don't know, man. I might have to listen to some of the Connections podcasts. I might have to listen to other podcasts as well. This is crazy. There's so much going on. Did I watch the movie The Name of the Rose? No, I don't know what that is.
Everyone's not just been like, okay, yeah, for sure, fair game, free for all. People have been criticizing her. That's just that no one has listened. Because one, we have a culture of people not believing children and not trusting children. And also,
and the authority figures too.
Children trust their parents, and then the parents trust the church. So there's been, and Jodi, what she does that's so tricky is that she utilizes and uses whatever is available. So if you go to her with OCD, if you go to her with severe depression, she'll use that information as a way of control. Oh, you have OCD because you have deep-rooted shame. And those tics are happening because the shame has nowhere to go. And so it's coming out in this neuroticism. And then, or let's say you told her that you lied, which is a normal human thing that we've all done. That doesn't make you a liar. Oh, well, you lied. You're a liar.
I wonder how did Jodi and Ruby, how did they find each other? How long have they known each other? Jodi made money with her horror courses, and in her religion, you must give a portion of the profits to the church for it to survive. I can see that. Yeah, because like I said, she's like 3.5 hours away from Springville, where I believe where the Frankes lived. I wonder how they found each other. Or I wonder maybe if it's like Jodi knows about this huge YouTube channel, mom, she's like starting to shut down her YouTube. Maybe Ruby Franke was in a place of vulnerability. Maybe Jodi swooped in. I don't know. I just wonder, how did they connect with each other? Oh, hi, Sarah. How are you doing today? I know that people were saying there's therapists for her son, but how? Unless she has family that's in Santa Clara. How the hell did she go from all the way from Springville to Santa Clara Ivans? Unless I know there's Salt Lake City, big city. Was she practicing there at some point? That's where they connected. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really interested to see how they met and stuff. Psychopaths are very charming. One of their characteristics that they have. Honed down on the science, they can draw you in with their personality. They seem so much normal, so together it's all an act.
Now, everything you say is a lie, and you can't be trusted. And she also separates people. She keeps people so they can't talk and corroborate. It is so vile and tricky and ingenious. Like Jodi is she is a very unwell person. I don't know her exact diagnoses, but I know that she's been diagnosed with a plethora of things.
And this is like from what she said, like more than 10 years ago. I think 10 years ago is when she said she last saw Jodi. It was at a wedding or something. So this was probably like way over 10 years ago. And damn, if she's been doing this for this long time, I wonder how she has evolved, how Jodi has evolved. Has her teachings become more stricter, more harsher?
And yeah, so it's devastating because I went forward as well. I mean, I went to the police when I was 16. I tried to do what I could, and no one believed me.
Yeah.
Because why would they? She destroyed my credibility. I was an angry teenager, and now I'm just so, oh, you're just like an emotional, angry teenager and she had told people that I destroyed my family's life, that I destroyed my dad's life, that every person I come in contact, I destroy. So she sets up the premise. And then when I come forward and try to tell people like, this is what's happening, she can be like, oh, see, Jesse's trying to destroy my life is what they do. It just all adds up. So
I just looked it up. Jodi's born in 1969. I was trying to figure out how old she is. Once they draw you in is when they begin the manipulations, emotional blackmail.
She's so good at protecting those loopholes and discrediting people.
Is that why you think maybe other members of both families still won't speak out publicly about this right now and are staying quiet? Or do you think it's a fear thing or just want to stay out of it? Is there any thought process on that?
I can't speak to why people aren't. I know the culture of my family. I think that it's probably probably a number of things. Some people, I think it's just that they themselves have been harmed so much by her, and they want to stay. They just want to live their life and not be dragged into this. Other members, it could be fear. I can't say. All I can say, and again,
and especially if she holds like a pretty prominent position within the church, I can see why other people wouldn't want to speak up because they don't want to go against their church. I don't know. That's like a whole little ecosystem right there.
The only reason why I'm coming forward, I was not planning on coming forward to the media other than just doing the podcast interview, is when I heard that Ruby accused her child of this, because and I just hope that this can give the public some context and some clarity of what is happening and why they should not believe her.
So 6 charges of aggravated child abuse. That's what's on the table. I'm sure you're not a legal expert. I'm not either, but I've talked to a number of attorneys just kind of about this case, more about the hype of the case, because it's obviously gotten a ton of attention because of Ruby's profile, right? Because of the high profile aspect of the YouTube channel. And that's why I think it's interesting we're talking about Jodi, because Ruby's got, as you mentioned, is getting the spotlight in a weird way. And Jodi, as you mentioned, is both behind a lot of the tactics. Do you feel like 6 felony charges, I mean, in your mind, is that enough punishment for what is alleged against them?
I mean, I don't think that it's the full scope. I mean, including my own child abuse that I experienced. I mean, I want justice and I want fair justice. So I want everything that she has done, that both of them have done, to be held accountable. Whether that be 6, 12, 18, however many, I just want to see that she is held accountable for the things that she has done. But I personally believe that is not covering everything that she's done. And I can say that because I know that she's not being held accountable for what she did to me in the legal system. I mean,
how closely are you following this? Are you looking every day to see if there's something new that's put out? I mean, where is your mindset at with the case, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm not following it every single day. I'm trying to navigate just my own emotional safety in all of this. I'm trying to stay up to date. I have people that have sent me things that feel a little bit more safe in being more aware of what's going on. And so like when something big does come out, like with Ruby's accusations, I had someone sent that to me. And
Hi, Paris. How are you doing today? Hello, glad I'm watching this live. Who's being interviewed? So this is Jodi Hildebrand's niece. She's saying that she endured the same abuse that probably similar to what the 12-year-old endured, which is being binded up with duct tape, with rope. And she goes into like other sorts of like crazy abuse tactics as well. The reason why she's speaking up with this news company is because she heard about the accusations that Ruby Franke made against one of her or some of her kids, that they were essaying each other and stuff like that. And she's saying that like when I was also under Jodi Hildebrand's care, I was also made to believe that, you know, that she had an addiction to porn, she had an addiction to like masturbation, all this stuff, and she didn't even know what those things were. And basically, she's saying that she thinks Jodi's behind all of this, and Ruby Franke is just, you know, believing maybe Jodi's lies, or she's coming with her own lies as well. Because she's essentially saying that, like, you know, she doesn't believe what Ruby Franke is saying about the kids essaying each other, because Jodi did the same thing to her when she was also young, which I think it's pretty important. Because when I heard about that on the Daily Mail thing, I was like, oh, this is like, I don't know, man, this is some crazy shit.
I was sitting in the parking lot of Lowe's and I started having a panic attack because it was just so directly similar. I mean, the exact thing. This is exactly what she does. This is what Jodi does. And so now, because she's painted him as this thing, regardless of what comes out, like he's no longer, I mean, I think hopefully the public can see through this and the judge can see through this. But that's the goal, is so that anything that he
Yeah, because I think the judge ordered, I mean, you know, based on what Daily Mail article said, but they said that the judge ordered having this child be separate from other siblings, other kids. And if you're going through this like traumatic thing and you're being separate from your family, you're being separate from your siblings, and you're going to be isolated by yourself, like that fucking sucks, especially if these allegations are not true. But yeah.
he says is now no longer credible.
What do you think the public will ultimately take away from these two as it pertains to the court proceedings and such?
I mean, I just hope that Jodi is not sidelined in this, because she is so connected to what is happening. And yes, Ruby needs to be held accountable because she made those choices. She's just as guilty. But Jodi's been doing this for much longer and has patterns and history in this. So I just really hope that, yes, Ruby is the focus because of her high profile and because they're her children, but those children were, as far as I'm aware, I hope I got this right, were in Jodi's care. Like, this isn't, I just so hope that even though Ruby's the focus, I just hope that Jodi is not, that she's not able to slink away and just kind of fade into the background, because she's the foundation.
You never need to give a dealer your credit to get a.
Yeah, I never seen it, but I lived it for 14 years with my ex. He was no longer Mormon, but his parents were, and they sent home teachers to our house regularly. That church was so bad. Let me use the bathroom really quick. What is this? Some new stuff popping in for the Sarah Boone stuff. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom really quick. Get up, stretch, use the bathroom. We're gonna talk about, I think, Alexi Trevizo next. Yeah, we'll talk about Alexi Trevizo next in the update with that from her lawyer. doing, huh? What you doing there? You just sleeping? Hi. Hero. Oh, you guys are so cute. Okay. Why did Corgi even question that? Question what? Obviously, the children did not essay each other. Well, we don't know that 100% sure, but my reaction to that was Ruby was probably saying that to throw blame at her children and to make her children seem like they were the bad guys in this and not her. But I don't 100% know that, so I wouldn't be like, okay, we 100% know for sure that didn't happen. We don't know. We don't know any of that shit, right? But we can assume that she probably just said it just to make herself the victim in this and make her kids the little demons that they are. Anyone heard about Teal Swan? Nope. I said, dude, not go to church. That tells me I cannot wear my Fruit of Looms. Fruit of the Looms? You mean the underwear brand? She's a self-helper that has done legitimate harmful things to her followers. Yes, I have. Seems to be a pretty troubled character, too. Never seen it, but I did live it for 14 years with her ex. He was no longer Mormon, but his parents were, and they sent... Oh, I read that already. Okay, did I catch up? Hold on. Let me see what's going on with paperwork stuff. This up really quick. Can two children essay each other? Kids can molest each other, yes. You've never heard of like an older sibling that will molest a younger sibling? Like, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's possible. But I wouldn't... The reason why I was kind of like tiptoeing around the Daily Mail article is because I didn't see anyone else really reporting on it. But now I see Law and Crime. Maybe they verified their sources, or maybe they're just going along with the other articles. But apparently that's what she said. And I think a lot of people are just kind of rolling their eyes because they just think that Ruby just wants to make herself seem the victim. But am I saying that's impossible? No. Because we just don't know. The children were 10 and 12. Yeah, and? All right, so update with Alexi Trevizo. I just want to talk about the interview that he did with Fox News. Her lawyer's name is Gary Mitchell. And he did an interview because he wanted to respond to the petition that was signed. A lot of people signed this petition because they did not want her to attend college in class. There was a hearing that happened a couple weeks ago where the judge allowed her to attend college. This was her first semester. Again, when the alleged murder happened, that was when she was a high school senior. And so she's going to be attending college right now. And they were trying to get the college to, I guess, ban her from attending, maybe kick her out of school or something like that. So I just want to read this interview that Gary Mitchell does. And I just feel like Gary Mitchell, I think sometimes he just talks a little too much. I don't know. I think he adds a little bit more to the chaos and to the confusion, if anything. Like, I understand that he wants to do these interviews and then talk about the defense that he's going to talk about, which is, blaming the hospital, saying the baby was not stillborn. But I just feel like there are some details that he should just kind of keep, I don't know, maybe secret for now instead of dropping it in these interviews and then confusing us even more. But let's read this article together. Defense attorney representing New Mexico teenager accused of murdering her newborn has decried the nearly 20,000 strong petition to bar her from her college as a bunch of prejudice nonsense. So it talks about Alexi Trevizo, how this happened in January of this year. She locked herself in the bathroom, gave birth. The child was found in a trash bin. And should we read over this again? I feel like maybe afterwards I'll read over this just to refresh in our memory. But I want to see is it right here? Since August 24th, nearly 20,000 people have signed the petition titled Get Alexi Trevizo Off NMSU Campus, calling upon the institution to reconsider Trevizo's admission. Anyone that has the auxiliary regard for human life should not have the right to work in the field with any human, one backer wrote. Petitioner writer Evelyn Graziano has since removed the mention of her name on the change.org page and did not respond for requests for a comment. Justin Bannister, an associate vice president for marketing and communications at, I think this is New Mexico State University, told Fox News that no student named Evelyn Graziano or who shares a surname is enrolled at or employed at the university. Alexi Trevizo is enrolled at New Mexico State University and is currently taking classes online, Bannister told Fox News Digital. NMSU can discuss the admission process for individual students. However, per the student's code of conduct, disciplinary action, including expulsion, can be taken if the student's alleged misconduct has a substantial impact, interferes with, or causes substantial harm to the NMSU mission or reputation. Violations of law are prohibited activity according to the student code of conduct. However, Trevizo's lawyer characterized the petition as a bunch of nonsense soundbite backers who don't know the facts. Gary C. Mitchell will represent Trevizo at her murder trial. By the way, this trial's been pushed back till I think like a year from now, 2024. He also filed a wrongful death suit against the hospital and members of his staff, per the court records. The lawsuit, filed in July, alleges that negligence and improperly administered medications caused the death of Alex Ray Fierro, the name Trevizo allegedly chose for the child, including her boyfriend Devin Fierro's surname, and accuses staff of violating HIPAA laws by sharing Trevizo's and the infant's medical information and allowing officers wearing body cameras into her exam room. The closed-minded, biased, and prejudiced signers of the petition, Mitchell said, would realize that Trevizo did not kill her baby if they had all the facts and need to realize this is a nation of laws, not men. The staff failed to inform Trevizo that she was pregnant when tests initially came back positive before she excused herself to the bathroom to give birth, per the lawsuit obtained by Fox News Digital. And they knowingly administered muscle relaxants and morphine despite knowing her pregnancy. Trevizo, Mitchell said, had no idea she was pregnant, thought she put on about 10 pounds. So this is new information right here. Thought that she put on about 10 pounds because she and her boyfriend had been going to McDonald's every day. It's not like we treat our children very well about biology. We're so Victorian about teaching them about sex and our bodies. I'm actually very interested to see what the high school curriculum is in their health classes. Do they not teach children that, hey, this is how you become pregnant? Where a guy and a girl, they have sex, sperm, egg. Like, I don't know what era he thinks we're in. I just have a hard time believing that this public school would not teach children about health and sex and stuff like that. Usually, I don't know if they still do, but we started this in like elementary school. I think it was in 5th grade. And then every year afterwards, you have a health class, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Very interesting. He said, you have to be raised on a farm these days to get that kind of information. What the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. I was like a little bit iffy about this interview. I'm like, did he really say this? But I mean, I wish there was, I wonder if this was like an email or if this was like a video somewhere that he did. Mitchell told Fox News Digital that an infant had 19 nanograms of morphine in his system. Okay, so that's consistent to what he said before, which has warnings on it about not using it if you're pregnant or about to deliver a baby. Although extended use of morphine is not recommended for women during pregnancy, extended use of morphine is usually used in the early stages of labor, according to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. The infant also tested positive for influenza and COVID at autopsy, Mitchell claimed. I don't remember seeing, so they must have done their own independent autopsy, but the one that was released by the state, I don't remember seeing influenza and COVID on there. Telling Fox News Digital that this child was born with some pretty serious breathing issues that could have had a cumulative effect alongside the morphine in his system. When she gave birth into the commode because she didn't know that she was pregnant, Mitchell said Trevizo tried to salvage the baby, hold the baby, and put the baby in the sink. The baby never cried. The baby never breathed. The baby never moved its eyelids. The baby never showed signs of life. She didn't know what to do. That's the story. That's this case. A little different than 17,000 at the time of the interview idiots trying to keep her out of school. Did he really use the word idiots? Oh, dude. He's calling the people that are signing the petitions idiots. Yikes. Going the offense there. According to the American Health Association, about 10% of newborns require some assistance, often tactile stimulation that includes patting and rubbing to begin breathing after birth. Oh yeah, I've heard about that before. The child's autopsy reports reportedly showed that the air had entered his lungs and that there was an evidence of hemorrhage consistent with hypoxia. The test that they used to show this is an antiquated test, Mitchell told Fox News Digital, but could not name the particular test. It'd be very interesting to hear about that during the trial. Even though Judge Jane Gray amended a pretrial order on Trevizo's bail conditions, allowing her to attend university in person, Mitchell said Trevizo will attend class remotely. He says, she decided not to create a controversy, so she's trying to take her classes remotely the first semester. I have a hard time believing that. I think she's doing digital classes because she doesn't want to face the shame. And I don't know, she probably doesn't want to, maybe there'll be other people on campus that might point her out, maybe make fun of her or something like that. Because, technically the controversy was already created by her attending these classes, right? Or her going to this university. But I think it's just because, she probably just doesn't want to face any more shame from other people. And I think it's okay for her to do the classes remotely. It might be better anyways. Let's not start comparing who's a better human being. Oh my God, this lawyer. Let's not start comparing who's a better being. Trevizo has a better heart and moral convictions than petition backers. She just wants this to be over. She just wants to get the facts out. Can we trust this? I feel like this interview is way too bizarre. The shit that he's saying, it's so bizarre. Is this real? Is this real? Oh my God. I want to see the interview. Trevizo, Mitchell said, would have been happy to raise a child. It's a big family. She's a good Catholic girl, and she would have been happy to do it. Did I skip the part about right here. I'm sorry. I did skip a very important quote that I wanted to talk to you guys about. He says, when she gave birth into the commode because she didn't know that she was pregnant, Mitchell said, Trevizo tried to salvage the baby, hold the baby, and put the baby in the sink. And that's where it goes to this quote. The baby never cried. The baby never breathed. The baby never moved its eyelids. The baby never showed signs of life. So he's saying that she tried to save the baby. She was holding the baby and she put the baby in the sink. If you're trying to save the baby, why are you putting the baby in the sink? Why aren't you calling for help? Why aren't you pressing the call button? I'm sorry, but I feel like Gary Mitchell's interview, I think it just causes more confusion, if anything. I think more people are just going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Anyways, that's the interview. This happened like 2 weeks ago, and I felt like no one was reporting on it. So I thought it was interesting. Dude, I don't know, man. Her lawyer seems a little crazy to me. Holy shit. Going on the offense, and I mean, when he does his opening statements, I'm going to remember all of this. Everything that he's saying. And if she decides to testify, I'm going to remember that the lawyer said that she tried to save the baby by putting the baby in the sink and how she wanted to raise the baby. I don't know what happens when they go to the text messages and all that. Anyways, so that more bizarre shit. I'm so sorry, guys. I feel like I'm just a bearer of just bad news of just bizarre shit, But we do true crime stuff here, so it's all, it's not like all like dandies and like flowers and stuff like that. We have pending justice to be served. Pending justice. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else think this is just a batshit bizarre fucking interview? The stuff that he's saying. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm like, man, maybe this article is fake or something, or maybe they're misquoting him. I don't know. Anyways, hi, heretic. The mental gymnastics. The mother should have known in question regarding that as well. I mean, really? She was in the hospital, didn't know what to do, but steps away. There was hundreds that did. What BS. Can't follow him anymore. My brain can't do the jumps. See, Catherine says, it's a weird subject. I had a coworker that refused to believe she was pregnant until she gave birth at work. A lot, it was so mental and denial of self-denial The Lucy Letby story blew me away. Did anyone hear about that? No. What is that about? Lucy Letby? Let's see. Lucy Letby. I don't think I've heard of that before. Lucy Letby, British serial killer. Oh, I heard. Okay, I haven't watched the video about this, but I've heard headlines about this. Former neonatal nurse who murdered 7 infants and attempted to murder 6 others. Yeah, I think Dr. Todd Grund made a video about this. I just haven't watched it yet. Have you guys seen the video? Do you guys watch Dr. Todd Grund? He's like, I don't know. I like watching his content. A lot of dry, super dry humor. And sometimes dad jokes as well. But he did a video about people climbing, I think it's called like the K2 Summit or something. It's not Mount Everest, but it's even more dangerous apparently. But it's about how there was a guy who was like a porter or something. He was seriously injured and people were just stepping over him so they can get to the summit. And there was a video that was leaked and people were like pissed that like people would just step over him. I don't know. It was like so crazy. I was watching this morning. Yeah, Dr. Todd Grund. Hey, Storm. Is it K7? Maybe K7. Yeah, it's in my YouTube history. Sorry, was there anything else I wanted to cover? I think that's it, right? Oh, okay, hold on. I do want to react really quick to Bruce Rivers. Bruce Rivers also, let's see, what part did I want to get to with Bruce Rivers? Bruce Rivers did a video that was posted yesterday, him reacting to the Ruby Franke arrest. Let's see. It was like some really weird videos. I think he was reacting to some of the TikToks. Let's see. Should we start here?
No, she didn't. And especially when they had their friends over, you'd have 16 people at the dinner table. All right, here's another. This is gonna break your heart when you see this.
Can you give me some breakfast?
You don't need food.
You don't need food. You don't need food.
Everything that comes into this house belongs to who?
Oh, this is what I saw. Yeah, so weird. I wish we can get the full clips of these videos because we just have like little clips of it. I think was posted on TikTok. I want to get the full context, but I feel like even if we get the full context, it's still really fucked.
Everything that comes into this house belongs to who?
Yeah.
Everything belongs to me. I mean, think of how that makes you feel. You're nothing. You're a piece of shit. You don't get any food, and everything belongs to me.
Mm-hmm.
Belongs to me.
Well, we have 6 children.
Can you imagine? It's like every time you eat, you're stealing food that's supposed to go to me. That's my food. I don't know. That's just a vibe that I'm getting right there.
The 2 youngest are showing long patterns of selfishness.
The 2 youngest are showing long patterns of selfishness. Toddlers tend to be little shits sometimes. And you know what? That's called growing up. And you have to learn.
Unwillingness to repent.
And I wonder what's her, I mean, because here's the thing. Like, I think that Ruby Franke probably already had the crazy in her. And maybe it was Jodi Hildebrand that made her go to even more extreme measures with the duct tape thing and all that stuff. Because like we watched these videos of her and these signs of like with the withholding food thing, like, I don't know, all these signs of like abuse stuff is kind of already there. It might be Jodi Hildebrand that brought it on to a whole different ass fucking level.
Unwillingness to repent. Unpack that a little bit.
Really won't get anything for summer. I won't be able to go anywhere. No,
Also, I find it so weird that both Jodi Hildebrand and Ruby Franke, when they're doing their videos or sit downs or talk, their coaches and stuff like that, or like even scenes like this with Ruby Franke, right? I find it so weird the type of music they use to play. Like there's this one video that I watched with Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand. They're sitting next to each other and they're talking about like having control, exerting, basically control over your kids' lives and stuff like that. But like the music that was playing in the background was like some like upbeat, like kids, like whimsical music. I don't know. It was like so weird. The tone just does not match the music whatsoever. It's like, it's as if they're delivering some like happy news to people, but they're really just like giving some really batshit crazy advice. And the music that was being used was just so weird. I don't know. And in this video right here that Ruby Franke did, the music that she was using was like, I don't know, it was like, she was trying to do like sad music, I think, or something like that, like to overlay over like the sadness of her kids and like them saying they're like lonely, they have no friends. And I don't know, like maybe she hired an editor or something. Maybe she wasn't editing the videos herself, but it's just so weird. Ugh. I think the videos became diaries of how Ruby put into practice from what she learned from Jodi. I don't see, that's what I want to know too. I want to know, how long did Ruby and Jodi know each other? When did they meet? Did they know each other from the church? Maybe, after the YouTube channel died out, maybe she moved down to, be closer to like a different church system or something. And that's how she met Jodi. I don't know. I'm just very curious how they met, but I mean, not like it really matters, but I'm just curious for my own curiosity.
Don't have any friends. No iPads, no TV, nothing.
And even let's say it was an editor editing this. Like, I don't know, man. How could you be an editor and edit this and just be like, oh, this is like not cringe at all?
We let them know that
But what I do have is plenty of duct tape around my ankles.
Christmas morning, their 4 older siblings will be getting Christmas presents to open, and that they will have the gift of love from their dad and I.
It's so weird.
4 older siblings will be getting Christmas presents to open, and that they will have the gift of love from their dad and I.
The older ones get the gift of love from their dad. That love should never, ever, ever be withheld as a punishment.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought too when I was watching the thing, where it's just like, it seems like love is being withheld, but like, hey, for Christmas, we'll give you the gift of love. So you guys better appreciate it, okay? This is not something you're going to get on an everyday basis. I don't know. That's how I interpret it. Maybe not.
That's fucking ridiculous. So, Christmas seems to be kind of a special time, right? So what could a child do to warrant withholding Christmas presents from them? And do you really want to turn Christmas into a time of sadness? Oh, thanks for the gift of love. Could you just loosen this duct tape a little bit because your love is just a little tight on me? Give me a break. And I ate last week, so I'm not asking for any more food. I'm not an expert in parenting, but you don't have to be one to know that this is just wrong.
The bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
Oh God, and I hate that part. The fact that she's like sitting there like laughing about it, like, oh.
I don't think.
And she's smiling. She's smiling. And take your room away for 7 months? What the fuck did this kid do? Did he kill another kid in the neighborhood?
I cannot wait to hug them and to smell them and to lick them.
Ugh.
That's weird. That's just fucking weird.
Ugh.
Smell them and just lick them. That's called criminal sexual conduct if you lick them in the wrong place. Oh, fucking A. What?
This part made me laugh so much. His reaction to this, I was like, what was she doing?
What the hell?
I'm sure she was just joking and maybe it was meant to be innocuous, but it's really fucking weird.
Jesus Christ. Hang on, I want to watch that again.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird, like, I don't know. Oh, God. Oh, I want to scream.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Are you... I'll be honest with you. When I was... my kids are fairly grown now. Michael's 27 or 26? 26. Michael's 26 years old. My youngest is 18, just turned 18. And I have to say I'm kind of a softie. We have discussions.
Any parents in my chat, do you guys consider yourself softies?
We don't have screaming matches. Every once in a while, I will have had it up to here, and I'll tell them to go f*** themselves or do something stupid like that, and then I apologize later. But that's so rare, I've never withheld food from my children.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never beaten my children.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is allowed by law, though, honestly. The corporal punishment is allowed in certain circumstances, and you can't leave a mark, blah, blah, blah. But I don't do it. And I've never duct taped my children in any part of their body.
But you yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know. That never happens. In my house, I never yell.
God, she looks weird. She looks really weird.
Here's a clip of a video that Ruby Franke posted on Facebook. After she entered her daughter's school, she was pretty upset after they were having the kids do a flash mob.
Yeah, she was saying that, like, I don't know, the school was like a danger to her kids, but then we find out all the stuff that's happening behind closed doors. Like, oh my God, the fucking irony of this shit.
I am so upset.
Okay, she's just coming from her daughter's school.
She's scary. She is.
Or her children's school. And her first impulse is to record it and record her reaction.
I'm so angry. I could scream. And I had an appointment with principal. I said, I have a concern about...
Listen, the reason why she recorded all this and she probably posted on her, whatever the fuck, Facebook, whatever it was, she just wants to get other parents to rally up behind her so she can feel validated in her anger and all that stuff. Oof, trying to go after the principal probably. She didn't get what she wanted.
About the TikTok dances. And she said...
And you know, the principal tried to offer her like ways of outs as well. Like, hey, you know, if you don't want your daughter to participate, she doesn't have to participate. That's totally okay. That's totally fine. We can have her do something else. You know, but it didn't go her way, the way that she wanted to, because she, I guess, wanted to change the song. Like, I agree with her. I think the Low, Low, Low song is probably kind of weird. I don't know how old her kid is, but it's probably weird, you know? And then doing the TikTok dance, it's probably kind of cringe. But, dude, she fucking... The way that she was acting, so upset, crying. Just have your daughter not participate then. There you go, you know? You can't get everyone to agree with you about certain things. But she went on to the deep end saying that, like, oh, the principal doesn't care about the safety of my kids. And, you know, they were like, it was just some other shit too. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, of course she doesn't want her children and their TikToks to eclipse her brief TikTok fame.
She said she said in the fall semester and in the spring semester, we need to have a performance. A flash mob is a great way to get it in. It's efficient. The kids love it. They have fun with it.
But she said TikTok though. So was this going to be posted to like TikTok, or is it just like a flash mob dance that was inspired from like a TikTok dance or something? Is that, because I'm not really quite sure.
And they are able to check off their performance for their grade. I said, my problem is the choice of songs. And she says, well, all the songs were approved by me. And she says, well, what's moral for you isn't going to be moral for other parents, you know?
And also keep in mind, like, I feel like when someone's like upset like this and they try to tell the story, they sometimes will tell the story in a way that makes the other party look worse. But when she told this story, I thought the other party's response were completely fine. I thought it was, there's no issues, nothing wrong with it. The other party even offered to, you know, give her daughter a different activity to do if they didn't want to participate. It wasn't like she has to participate. She has to dance in this song. She has to do a flash mob. It wasn't even, it was just like, okay, well, you know, we came here, you know, we let you come here. We listened to you, you know, your piece. And if you don't want to participate, that's completely fine. You know, I don't know. I feel like she is probably so fucking annoying. Oh my God.
You know, you're complaining about this song, but I've got 30 other parents that just think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I said, it's what's moral according to God.
You know, I just...
Don't participate.
Abhor. Just absolutely...
And the fact that she talks about morality when we have a 12-year-old that was found with duct tape and bruisings and stuff like that, like, oh my God, I don't know, the irony in all of this. These people are just... People are fucking crazy. Holy shit.
You know, she's innocent until proven guilty, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's in a courtroom, not in the court of public opinion. And what did the judge do in this case? He denied her fucking bail. Oh, gee, guess you're going to sit. And, you know, we're not going to have any duct tape around your ankles, but we are going to make sure your ankles never leave a jail cell until you come to court and we get this sorted out. And then one of the other things they do is they have a hearing as to where they're going to place the children, right? A relative is probably, you know, the first option. And if there's not a relative, then they go into juvie. You know, they go into a juvenile home, you know, or a foster home. And, or the husband takes them or whatever. And where is the husband? And why does he allow?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. If there are times when, like, your parents can't afford to really buy you gifts or anything that you want on your list, whatever, and then you have that talk where it's like, hey, you know, can't afford to buy you anything, you know, but you will have our love and stuff like I can totally understand that, definitely, that perspective. But the way that she was doing it, it just seems like this is punishment. Like, you guys aren't getting Christmas because, probably XYZ, maybe you're selfish, or I don't know, whatever else she accused her kids of being, right? It just seemed like some crazy form of punishment. But yeah, if you grew up in a household and like parents didn't have money for Christmas and stuff like that, like I totally understand that. You're soft. You're definitely too soft.
Hard to do this shit.
You're
Going to have a situation where the children are going to have to testify against mommy. And you're going to have that older daughter who's probably going to be the pivotal witness in this case.
Dude, and remember, when we have kids testifying against their parents, that is, I don't know, man. That seems nerve-wracking. That seems pretty fucking traumatizing in its own self, because you're up there, you're probably nervous. You're sharing your story for a lot of people to hear. Your parent, mom's probably staring, glaring at you. Because remember, we watched the trial with, what's his name? Zachariah Anderson, the crazy, obsessive ex-boyfriend who murdered his ex-wife's boyfriend at the time. Remember when his daughter was testifying and the way that he was just like staring at her? Like, that must have been really, really scary, really nerve-wracking for his daughter to testify against the dad like that. And remember, he was doing like the little zip it signal thing to her. Or even with like Letitia Stout, when Harley, her daughter, also went up there and testified against her. And you can tell she was like in an emotional mess. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so sad. Like, having these kids go up there, testify against their parents, even if they're not kids, even if you're like in your late teens, early 20s, maybe even your like mid 20s and stuff like that. Like, it's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I feel so bad for the kids, because there's just so much ahead. There's just so much more ahead of them. Although they're like, hopefully on the right path, right, to recovery and all that stuff. And they're not within the, they're not in Jodi's grasp anymore, or Ruby Franke's grasp. But I don't know. It's just a tough road ahead of them. It's really sad.
And
oh yeah, and then the cross-examination too, dude. When you're being cross-examined by some fucking lawyer, the defense attorney, and if they're rude or if they're condescending towards you, that's really hard. That's super tough. Yeah.
Both sides, when you do things that are just so inherently wrong, hitting to the point where somebody gets a mark, depriving a child of food as a form of punishment, you can't do that.
Morton.
You got to meet their basic needs. You got to make them thrive. Children are a gift. If you are struggling with your children, get some help. You don't have to do it alone. And you might feel like it. I mean, I was a single parent for quite a while.
Yeah, maybe we should push for more people, because there are people who do resort to like being really like physically violent, or maybe like emotional, like, I don't know, being abusive emotionally to their kids. I don't know, man. Maybe a lot of these parents would just really benefit from going to like anger management or something. I don't know. I think that's like step one right there. Anger management. Go to anger management, manage your anger, and I don't know, maybe learn to be more patient with your kids. It'll be the older kids who left home or in college, I believe. I don't know, man. It depends. Because like maybe they'll call the 12-year-old too, right? Because maybe the kids who were in college, they weren't there during the whole abuse under Jodi Hildebrand's house. So I know there's like 2 other teenage girls as well that are like, I think, were they like 15, 16, 17, around that age? And then there's a 12-year-old, and then I believe the youngest one is like 10 years old. So I don't know. Maybe the 12-year-old will go up there and testify. I'm not too sure how that really works. But yeah, it's so sad. I don't know. This whole thing is just so wild and crazy. I don't know. I feel so bad for the kids. And the fact that Ruby Franke in that hearing apparently like threw her kids under the bus and now has made it public to the entire world about what she's alleging against them. I don't know. That's just crazy. Sorry, Bruce just said the older kids thought. Sorry, I might have missed something then. I might just be confused. So I'm just looking at something really quick. Ooh, wait, can you guys hear that? Sorry. right, guys. I think that's about it. I was trying to see if there's any updates or anything. Anything that we can go over. But if you guys missed it earlier, we watched Ben Chu's interview with Law and Crime, his thoughts about this whole Ruby Franke case. Then we watched the niece's interview. This is Jodi Hildebrand's niece's interview. And that really just refocuses everything from Ruby Franke to Jodi Hildebrand now. Because, when I was doing my research, I mainly focused on Ruby Franke and her trial, and her YouTube channel and stuff like that. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure more information will come out with Jodi Hildebrand. And, hopefully if there are more victims, they'll come out and speak out about it and hopefully testify against her. If the shit was true, of all the stuff that was happening, the abuse that she's been, the abuse tactics that she's been using on these kids. Super, super, super sad. But damn, I guess this just goes way deeper than what I initially thought. Maybe what we all initially thought. Afterwards, we also covered Alexi Trevizo's lawyer doing an interview. He said that she tried to save the baby by putting the baby into the sink, which again doesn't really make sense to us because she was at a hospital. But anyways, yeah, calling the petitioner signers idiots. I don't know. I feel like the interview was so bizarre that I'm like, is this a real interview? Is this actually real? Did they quote him correctly? But anyways, I'll have that up on the. I don't think I'm gonna chop all these videos. Sorry, I don't think I'm gonna chop up all these topics into videos on my YouTube channel. It'll probably be available on the live stream, but maybe like some of them. We'll see. We will see. I think they're finally free and now they need to have the healing days ahead of them. I just hope they'll have like good family, to take care of them and all that stuff. I don't know. You always hear cases of like where kids are just like fucked, where they are going through abuse in their families or taken from their family's home and they're brought in by like another relative or maybe like foster care or anything like that and endure even more abuse. I don't know. I just hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they'll be well taken care of. And I do feel bad for the older sister, Sherry Franke, because I know she's like 20 years old. I know she's attending college and college probably just started, right? New semester just started. And this is probably really stressful for her. Really, really stressful. Like, where are my siblings going to go? What's going to happen? And at the same time, she has to worry about, studying, taking these exams for school. And I don't know. It's just so much put on to someone who's like 20 years old. When you're in your 20s, you're just supposed to focus on going to college, being independent for the first time, being away from your parents' house, and just, all this other stuff. But there's just so much going on with her and her family that, like, I can totally see it being really stressful for her. And I feel really bad for her. But we'll keep an eye on this. I know that there's going to be another appearance with Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand as well. But I think one of the lawyers said that they had a vacation on one of the days and they might have to reschedule. So I haven't heard anything about that yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. If the hearing's going to happen, if, Law and Crime or Court TV, if they're going to live stream it, I'll definitely keep an ear out. But anyways, feel free to join the Discord. We do have a true crime section. If there's anything you want to share about this case or any other cases, feel free to share it in there as well. And I don't know. I just feel like there's just so much stuff going on right now. I was just watching this other story about apparently like the husband he murdered his entire family and then he like suicided himself. And I don't know, just very, very wild, like similar to the Chad Durham stuff. But in this case, like none of the family members made it out. They're all deceased and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. Crazy, crazy shit. Yeesh. You feel bad for the rest of the family, especially her parents. I bet they didn't know what was going on. Wait, who are we talking about? Which family? I advocate for the safe house in every hood just for abusive situations, or those, that feel overwhelmed and needing help. It would help. I don't know. I just think that maybe there should be more, I don't know, intervention with like school systems and stuff like that. Because a lot of these kids don't really have any other adults that they have access to. But the adults that they do have access to are the adults that are at school. So I don't know, maybe there should be some more programs with, where kids can, I don't know, just like do like a, we're like counselors, just like talk to kids like, hey, how's everything? How's like family life and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they only depend on the kids to, come out on their own and come out to the adults and be like, oh, hey, by the way, this is happening behind closed doors and whatever, I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be more like support system for kids, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. That just seems like way too much work, maybe way too much headache. But yeah, I don't know. It's sad. It's sad for these kids to not feel like they have anywhere to go or have any adults that they can trust. Because like, imagine if like it's like your mom and your dad that you rely on, but if they're both shitheads and you don't really have any other family members, you're kind of just screwed, right? Oh, you met with Ruby Franke. Okay. Just got on here and catching up. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to learn about Ruby Franke's family dynamics, like how she grew up, what her parents were like. Are her parents around? Does she have like a mom and dad that's around? Do we know anything about that? I know that she has sisters that also has like family YouTube channels. Like I think 3 of them do. And I think they're all fairly pretty large, right? Don't they all have like over like 1 million or 2 subscribers, something like that? It was crazy. Crazy. Right, I'll see if there's any updates. But yeah, I think that's it for today. If you guys missed it, I did upload a video of like all the stuff that I found so far regarding. It was mainly focusing on Ruby Franke, but Ruby Franke and the case against Jodi Hildebrandt as well. Maybe, if I gather more information about Jodi Hildebrandt, maybe I'll do a separate video about that sometimes in the future. But I think I'm planning on doing a future stream. Maybe we'll listen to the entirety of the 911 call, maybe the police scanners, and then just read the arrest affidavit and anything else. But that'll probably be like a different stream maybe. But other than that, thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Again, feel free to join the Discord. Hi, Jenny. I'm going to hop on Twitch. Yeah. Bye, Dweezil. Have a good one. Yeah, I'm going to hop on to Twitch and we're going to do games on there instead. So if you guys want to join, feel free to come by. But other than that, I will see you guys in a different stream. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for your support. Thank you for those who are in the YouTube memberships. And thank you for lurking. Thanks for chatting. I do appreciate you guys. So I hope you guys have a good one. Take care. Go outside, get some fresh air. I think my garden is actually thriving now. All of my roses are budding. I think before I was just dehydrating the crap out of them. I don't know. For like 2 months, my garden just like looked like it was just dying. I was so sad because I was like, I spent so much money on these goddamn flowers. But yeah, anyways, I'll update you guys on the whole yard stuff. But yeah, hope you guys go outside, get some fresh air, take care of yourself. Eat some good foods, stretch, work out. Roses, yeah, I think I messed up. I should have just made a succulent garden, but succulent gardens are so boring. But yeah, it does need a lot of water. Oh God, Miracle-Gro for the roses. Yeah, I bought this like organic feeder food thing. And I feel like when I gave it to my roses, that's what started making them, I don't know, look dead. But it could be just because I was underwatering them, I guess. I don't know. I should just went to the succulent routes, man. Ugh. Because succulents, you don't really require a lot of water. You don't have to worry about trimming them because they don't really grow that fast. Like, oh my God. It's so much work. Roses are the best. Yeah, I do like them. But my favorite right now are alyssums. Alyssums are like indestructible. I love them. And they just look so good because I feel like they just have flowers all the time. I don't know. Maybe at some point the flowers start dying up, but alyssums are really, really cool. Horse manure. I got, I think Home Depot had like, was it cow manure? It might have been horse manure. I don't remember. But yeah, I went to Home Depot and got like poop and it actually smells really good. It's so weird. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to go on Twitch sometime soon. And if I don't see you guys on there, I hope you guys have a great one. Take care. Join the Discord. And then, yeah. Like the YouTube stream, and I will probably have some of the videos chopped up for you guys, all right? Really? Banana peels are great organic fertilizers, lots of potassium. I have a lot of flies in my yard, though. Yeah, these fly fuckers are so annoying. And then whenever they escape and come into my house, it freaks Chiro out. Flies. Oh, he's behind me. You guys want to say hi to him? Can't really see him. Well, there he is. Hi. Sorry, did I wake you up? My bad. Yeah, no, we used to put coffee grounds out because we didn't want the cats to come into our yard. Someone told me the cats don't like coffee grounds. So that worked for a little bit, but then I think the coffee grounds was messing up with the I think we put too much coffee grounds. It was messing with, was it the pH level or something with my soil? I don't remember. It was something that was like messing things up. Google fly traps, DIY. No, I had a fly trap. And I think what it ended up doing was bring more flies to the area. I mean, there were a bunch of them that were dying, but I think more of them were hanging out in my yard because the fly trap thing was attracting them. It felt like we ended up getting more flies. Oh man, yeah, that fly trap thing was so gross. Oh, anyways, but yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions, let me know. Don't water them daily. Yeah, I used to do it initially, and that's when I got a lot of mushrooms and stuff like that. So yeah, I do, because we've been getting like 100-degree weather. I've been doing every other day for now, and then I had to change out the mulching so it like doesn't become too moist. Yeah, because we're getting like mushrooms and stuff, and I don't want mushrooms because I don't want my dogs to eat them. Oh, you can bury them in the outer space of root base. Wait, really? Yeah, the one that I had was just this thing that was just like out in the open, and all the flies were going there, and it smelled so bad. And now we're getting a bunch of like mosquitoes everywhere, and mosquitoes are driving me nuts, man. They're just biting me everywhere. We went to go play pickleball, and I got demolished, dude. Oh my god. The mosquitoes. And maybe it's because I gain a lot of weight, but usually mosquitoes don't fuck with me because I was just like skin and bones. But now that I gain like all this weight, maybe they're like, oh, she's juicy now. Let's take a taste out of her. Rose is her favorite too. Yeah, there's this woman that I watch on YouTube. Her name is Olga Carmody. You guys should check her out. If you guys like doing like gardening stuff and like especially like roses and stuff, I love her YouTube channel. Yeah, the mosquitoes were bad in Cali this year. Yes, dude. Dude, it's because of like the moist, I guess, the moistness, the heat, and like, oh god. They're just like fucking me up. And I didn't know, but mosquito season was like 4 months. I thought mosquito season was only like a month long. I didn't know it actually goes all the way out a little bit. That's what my friends from California told me. Oh, Peter chanted bonsais. Bonsais are so expensive. I would love to have a bonsai tree, but god, they're so expensive. There's this nursery that I go to. It's like a Japanese nursery, and they have a bonsai section. Oh my god, it's so expensive. They have trees back there that are literally like 10 to 20 grand. Wild. They're prehistoric where I live. I used to live on the East Coast, and I remember we would get really bad mosquitoes. But when I came to California, maybe it's because I've always lived in the city, but we never had mosquito issues ever. But yeah, I think it's because we lived in the city. Roses are wonderful. I keep shopping this like specialist who has like 300 to 500 different ones. I bought these roses that a lot of people raved about. They're called oh man, they're supposed to be really fragrantful. Eve? What is it called? Eden? If I tell you guys the name, you guys will probably know. They're like really popular. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she is not thriving. She's like, there's something, she's just fucking up. I don't know. She's just dying. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she's supposed to make these really beautiful blooms that are very fragrantful. And I got like dinky blooms from her, and now she's just, I don't know. I think she's just gonna die. She just might have to die. The Eden Rose. Yeah, I think she's just gonna have to die. I don't know. I'm trying. You're making bonsai? Oh, to leave for your kids. Oh man. No, I bought this Japanese maple tree, and bro, it is crispy as fuck right now. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's also dying. I don't know. I think I got to transport him outside or something. I don't know. I will say though, like if there's anyone out there that wants to have plants, but you don't want to deal with them dying, monsteras are like indestructibles. Oh my God. These are indoor plants, by the way. Monsteras are indestructible, and pothos are indestructible, and so are spider plants. So if you're someone who's prone to killing your plants, you know, because maybe you're like a dipshit like me, monsteras, spider plants, and pothos are, I don't know, but I feel like I'm just torturing the shit out of my 3 plants, but they've been around for 4 years now, and they're like, it's like a bare minimum care. Making a proper bonsai, yeah, because you got to manipulate the branches, and it has to grow and all that stuff. It's hard. Japanese maple need outdoor conditions. Listen, it looks so pretty indoors, and yeah, but I put him outside though. Okay, so here's what happened. I put him in a pot. Maybe that's the issue. I put him in a pot. I put him outside. He was not thriving. I put him semi-shade, in the sun. He was just not thriving. So I was like, okay, I'm going to bring him inside. And I was like, oh shit, he actually looks really good inside. So I brought him inside. And he was doing good for a little bit. And Maybe it's because I just forgot to water him for a little bit, and now he's just crispy, and he just won't. He's just so crispy right now. I can't keep Japanese maples alive either, dude. I'm so sad because they're so pretty. Yes. Oh, snake. No, Chrissy, I killed my snake plant. I used to recommend the snake plant, but no, I killed my snake plant. Oh my god, the snake plant. Like, I bought 3 different snake plants. They all died. People also recommended me to get orchids. No, man, orchids are so hard. They died too. What's a pencil tree? Oh, indoors? I haven't heard of pencil tree before. Plants are great and tough. You can get the leaves in green, black, and purple now. I don't know, Chrissy. It died. I got one, it died, and then I got another one, it died, and then I got a mini one and it died. It just died. I don't know. They just died. I'm gonna go to bonsai them too. I love the mini kinds. Yes, Japanese maples are so pretty. Oh god, they're so pretty and dreamy. I might just try planting it in my yard because I think it being in a pot, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I made sure to get the right soil, maybe the nutrients thing. I think I was just underwatering it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I am a dipshit though when it comes to plants. But anyways, thanks for chatting. I appreciate chatting with you guys. But if you guys are into the roses and stuff like that, check out Olga Carmody. Small YouTuber, and I just love her channel. She's so relaxing to listen to, by the way. Like, just like get some tea, listen to her, or like when you're about to go to bed. That's her YouTube channel right there. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good one. I'm gonna pop out. Thanks for joining me on today's stream. We'll be back a different day. And oh yes, see, I always give people orchids as gifts, but I know they're gonna die soon because I feel like none of my friends will take care of their plants. No, I think the annoying thing with orchids, sorry, I'm going to leave soon. The annoying thing with orchids, I think it's like when they're done flowering, right? And all the flowers dies off. I think you have to put them in the shade for like a couple of weeks or something for them to start their flowers. I don't know. It's like you have to do something annoying like that. And that's why mine just died. Okay. Fuck orchids. They're annoying. You once bought a pencil tree and now it has maybe like 2 or 3 dozens of children. All of them are just running for like 50 kilometers. Mine are like a year old now. Oh, yeah. Fuck orchids. All right, guys. Have a good one. Take care. I will see y'all later. And yeah, thanks for hanging out.